Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Downtime with Downstar. And today we are here with Coach B, Run Free, Run Club.
What up,
bro? Thank you for coming, man.
Thanks for having me.
Nah, of course, man. Thank you for what you do, bro.
Yeah, dude.
We've been doing the Run Club on Wednesdays.
Yep.
At Institution in Camarillo, and bro, it's been so fun, dude.
I know.
I've never been in a club.
It's so funny because when Ash talked about you and Audie, they're like, we need to get Frank out here.
Yeah.
Frank got a huge group of people, and he'll bring some peeps and everything. And I was like, oh yeah, totally. Whenever he wants to come out, but it wasn't like I never forced people to come out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's kind of one of those. I'm like, hey, if you want to come out, you want to come out. You know what I mean? Like, it's so funny. On the way here, we had someone write us on Instagram, right? And they were just like this and that, right? And me and Audie were having this whole discussion. And it's funny because we text Ash and Lisa about all this stuff too. And I was like, I can't ever please everyone, right?
For sure.
Expectations of people coming out, it's really on you. And I can't ever say anything to try to make you come out. You have to be the person that's willing to come out and actually show up for yourself. There's this whole thought of, it's kind of funny, like, if you come out, you're going to be left behind, you're going to be this, you're going to be that, you're not going to be able to keep up with everyone. But like, our club is like, I don't want to say like, everyone probably says that about their club, but I think we feel more like family to us. You know what I mean? Like, come out with little Frankie. I mean, like, everyone comes out with their dogs or kids too, and they enjoy some beer and some pizza afterwards. But I really try to build something beyond the running club. Yeah. You know what I mean? Camarillo is such a small community that I don't even think much people really know about us until Institution started like posting about it. You know what I mean? So, but we're pumping, bro. I'm glad you're coming out.
Yeah, me too, man. I look forward to it. And like I said, I've never been in any sort of like club or team or anything like that.
You're like a lone wolf, bro. Like, I think you training for LA Marathon, from what Ash said, was like, Frank's he's going out doing these long runs. I'm just here doing shorter runs. You know what I mean? And I think now you can bank on some people to run with now.
For sure. There. Yeah. Like, everything that I've always done was always just on my own, from skateboarding to, even being an entrepreneur, these are all like journeys that you're on by yourself.
That's the hardest thing, right? Is like, I always feel like God puts you in a situation where you have to be alone sometimes just to like figure out shit. Yeah. Right. And I think a lot of us, we depend on too many people to save us. Yeah. Right. But like,
no, I feel that
you can only save yourself.
For real.
You know what I mean? Like, being an entrepreneur too, it's getting down to the nitty gritty of fucking life itself. And like when we had that whole conversation, months ago, and you're like, yeah, dude, like, if I can figure out a way to like keep it going and keep the business afloat and whatever it may be, right? Like with family and shit like that, I'm going to make it work regardless. You know what I mean? And I was like, fuck, man, like, that's the mentality like I need to have, like, going into shit. Right. So it's like, I admire that about you. Right?
Thank you.
It's like very inspiring to know, like, like, you're doing this because of XYZ, right? For your kids, for Ash, for having a home, clothes, all that kind of stuff. But I think a lot of us just give up easily. And I will say that I was at that stage at some point. I was like, man, fuck this shit. I don't want to do this shit anymore.
Yeah.
Right? But then, somehow you wake up and you're like, fuck, I'm going to have to do this shit, even if I'm by myself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I feel you. It's just facing those things that you don't want to face. And I felt like that's what helped out a lot, is when I started to focus on the internal things that were going on, and started to take off all the band-aids and start to let these.
How was that for you?
It was challenging, bro.
Yeah,
it was definitely challenging. It probably started happening, I would say probably 2000, maybe when we got married. Yeah, about 2018. I don't know. It just felt like I was going into a different part of my life, new chapter. Yeah. And I needed to leave all the old stuff behind. And then I started to what it really was? And I was thinking about this the other day. It was Charlemagne the God. Do you know Charlemagne?
Yeah.
Okay, Charlemagne. I've always loved him. I love his podcast, Brilliant Idiots. And his is one of the first podcasts that I got into.
Yeah.
And he would always talk about anxiety, right?
Yeah.
And then he wrote a book. It was called Shook Ones.
Oh shit,
and
I
it's
didn't know that.
Shook Ones. So he has 2 books out. First one is Black Privilege, great book. Second book is it's called Shook Ones, Anxiety's Playing Tricks on Me. So I bought the first book, loved it. Bought the second book just because I love Charlemagne and I read it. And then like a light bulb went off and I was like, bro, this is the feeling that I have that I didn't know what it was. And it was anxiety, you know.
Yeah.
I would be on, trips with the family or something and just getting like super irritable and just in so many different situations, like, why do I feel like this? What is wrong with me? And it's always so easy to throw it off on, oh, it's because I'm a business owner and I have so much on my plate, but then I see other business owners and, I don't see them maneuvering how I am.
Interesting.
So I'm like, what the fuck is it?
Mm-hmm.
So then I read the book and then that started to make me focus on anxiety and the things that cause it and the things that can help it get better. And I've just been on a journey with that.
Mm-hmm.
And
so do you still deal with it?
Here and there? I do here and there now, but like the biggest thing that I've done recently is I've cut off caffeine.
Oh shit.
You're talking maybe 2 to 3 cups of coffee a day, energy drinks to cold turkey about 3 weeks ago. And I haven't had any caffeine.
Mm.
And that's like taking it away so much, bro. So it's just all of that, dialing it in, and seeing what affects me, what doesn't, and getting to the root of things and stop making excuses.
So was that like therapy for you? Like, did you go to a therapist or were you just like, I'm gonna figure everything out?
I'm not against it.
Yeah.
I would like to go to a therapist. I just haven't done it just because I don't know. It's just one of those things on the list that I haven't done,
Bro, I can tell you everything, man. It's so funny because my corporate job, so I was traveling nonstop, flying everywhere, and Audie would text me. So like this was made difficult. So even at that time, growing up, we'll get to my story, but
yeah.
So I didn't even know it was anxiety at that time, right? And so I would sit there and be like, Audie would text me and be like, I want you to come home, or like, I don't want you to leave. And this is like the last thing I'm hearing as I'm like about to take a flight to like New York or something, right? And so in my head, I'm thinking, fuck, like, I don't want to like keep her, because I was gone 4 or 5 days a week, even sometimes 7 days if I was like on the East Coast. And so she come home, she's like a dog, right? So happy to see me.
Yeah.
And I'm fucking burnt. I'm like, oh fuck, I'm so tired. Like I didn't want to do shit. And then so we had a life coach at that time, which we could definitely dig into that shit. But we had a life coach, and she made things worse, right, for us, and almost caused a lot of other issues. And then it really, I had a breakdown. 2018, I had a mental breakdown, right? And my life coach at that time said, go to the hospital, get a doctor's note. I mean, like, you won't be able to travel because of whatever it was, right? So I had this really bad panic attack, and it changed my whole perspective, and ended up being where I kind of realized, okay, everything I was dealing with before this was like anxiety. I didn't even know what anxiety was, right? And you're just thinking, oh, just breathe a little bit. It was perfectly fine. So this literally stopped me from living my life. Like literally, like I go out the front door and have like an anxiety attack.
Oh, wow.
I like literally was like, when people talk about being on their own and like not like living literally like in a corner, it seemed like, right in a room, literally I was like that. Like I would literally stand there, like watch TV all day. I wouldn't go out until Audie came home from work.
Oh, wow.
So like the person you see me now is completely different than the person like 4 years ago, 5 years ago, right?
Wow.
So like 2018, I was literally, so I went to a therapist and all this, right? And we talked about all this kind of stuff, but it's really those internal battles that we go through, right? And I think a lot of us may need someone, or we just, like David Goggins does, right? You just fucking talk some shit to yourself, and then, you know, tough love, and you go from there. But honestly, like, I'm like an open book, bro. I can like literally tell you my whole life and how it's been. And
hell yeah, bro.
So we'll just rewind all this. So my mom came from the Philippines. She had my brother in the Philippines, different dad. She was, I guess you could consider a rape victim, right? Had my brother. Left my brother there, right? to make a better life for her and her son, right? So she left my brother for 7 years in the Philippines. My mom's family there's like 14 siblings. So she came out here thinking, okay, I'm going to make a better life. And then she ended up being part of like a nanny thing for my godparents, which the first set were super cool. The second set were like I guess my godmother, she was very abusive and like verbally and everything, right? But somehow they met my dad. My dad was a military Navy guy. So then my dad takes my mom out, all this stuff. Then he passes away at 3, when I'm 3. He dies homicide. So my mom's dealing with all this crazy shit, right?
God damn.
So she brings my brother. They bring my brother over before he passes away. Ironically, his death day is actually tomorrow. So yeah, it's kind of crazy. So my mom right now is at home, just dealing with that kind of stuff. Every year it's like this, and so that life that my mom lived. So my mom's a very strong, powerful woman, and my relationship with her is very cold. I don't really talk to her as often. I live at home with her, right? But I don't like associate as much in that sense. Like I don't really talk to her as much because she's always in this weird energy kind of thing, right? And so growing up, she dealt with crazy amount of anxiety, like always had anxiety. She said like she was having heart attacks and all this stuff. And so me growing up, they say that you're like a sponge. So when you see your parents go through something heavy, traumatic, right? You're going to like think, okay, that's how she deals with stress. That's how I deal with stress. And I learned that through therapy. So me growing up, I've always had anxiety, and I've always been that child that's, okay, I got to be more, I got to be older. I got to be more wiser. I got to be able to like be more functional on my own. So me, my sister, and my brother didn't really speak English really, right? So it took a while for him to like gain all that. And so him going to another school opposite way than us, me and my sister had to walk to school on our own. And it was kind of a crazy, just growing up in that type of household, right? My mom never really talked about anything. My sister shared a room with her. I had my own room. My brother had his own room. And, you know, I grew up not knowing if I was going to live in the house, because like my mom would tell me, you're not going to, I don't know if we're going to live in this house next month, because I don't know if I could pay for the mortgage. My mom worked at like a shitty ass job actually down the street from here. And it didn't pay much. It's a warehouse job, right? But for 33 years. So she did whatever she could to put anything and everything on the table. So my living household, like growing up as a kid, was like fucking nuts.
Yeah.
And so I don't think people realize that of me. They think, oh, I'm just like this Zen guy, right? But I had to be someone else at that stage.
For sure. I always wonder why people, and you in particular, especially when you just did this run.
Yeah.
It's like, what is it? You know?
Yeah.
And I haven't met somebody where they're just like, oh, I don't know.
Yeah. Honestly, like, it was really funny because, like, my mom doesn't understand the running aspect, right? She's just like, why do you run? Like, why you're gonna hurt yourself, you know? And so at one point, I was doing all these like Spartan races, right? The mud runs and all that shit, and everyone's like, dude, that's fucking badass, bro. Like, you're pretty badass. And I'm like, nah, dude, I'm not that badass.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm just doing what I'm doing. And then they had this one distance where you can run double loop, right? They call it the ultra. And so my first taste of long distance stuff was at that time frame, but it was with obstacles. So I'm up, you know, in Tahoe doing this crazy ass thing. It snowed on us. Like, everything was like fucking crazy, right? And then I felt like, fuck, like that was great, right? So I come back next year, do the same thing. And I told myself in 2017, fuck, man, I want to run something that's not obstacle related, right? And then I found trails and more trails. And so I did one trail race at 50K. Didn't even run like a marathon at that time. I just said, all right, fuck it, I'm just going to do an ultra. And then I fell in love with like that aspect of pushing yourself mentally, right? And I don't know, some people are wired like that in that sense. Maybe I am wired like that. I just don't give myself credit for it. But Audie's always telling me, you're like, you know, I maybe it's imposter syndrome, right? Because people can see you one way, but you never see yourself that way.
Yeah.
But man, it's it's kind of insane, like thinking about it, because like I have buddies that run, like I was telling you earlier, right, 300-mile races, and I'm like, fuck, man, that's fucking badass. And someone's like, bro, you just ran like 50 something miles, that's badass. And I'm like, that's not that badass. Like, I got these guys running like 250 plus miles, and they're fucking grinding it out with like 60,000 feet of climbing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, it's like, I guess a perception of what we feel is dope, it could be completely different than what you think is dope. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel that.
Yeah.
But then that could always be something that needs to be addressed.
Inner child, man.
Because like even for me, like there's things that I've accomplished, and sometimes I'll just be like, it doesn't even register. Mm-hmm. But then I'll see somebody else, which maybe that accomplishment isn't even, on the same level, and I'm like so stoked for them.
Yeah.
And that's still something that I'm looking at and trying to get better at, and kind of like, smelling the flowers while they're here,
There's this whole, like, I've learned through my therapist that there's always a self-judgment of ourselves, right? We always compare ourselves to everyone and anyone, right? Well, this person did this. Like, I used to be like that with the run club. Like, me and Audie would be like, dude, like this club just started and they have like 1,000 people showing up, right? And I'd be like, are we doing something wrong? Like, I used to be so hard about it because I'm here pumping it, but it was once I let go of a lot of this energy shit, because when you hold on to energy, it's just going to stay on your body, right? But when you release it, like, things like change and shift, right? Our mindset, especially. So for me, it was like, okay, once I changed that perception of like what I wanted the run club to be, and then once I was like, let's just do it institutional and yada yada, like now all of a sudden it's like it goes from like 15, 20 people, now we're pumping almost close to 50, right? And so now all these companies are reaching out to me and being like, hey, can we collab with you, can we do this? I'm like, holy shit, man, like this is right. Like when you let go of these expectations of ourselves and what we want in our life, all of a sudden like God puts you in like someone of alignment to like do what you got to do.
Yeah.
Just like your business, Downstar, it's like I come in here and I'm like, it's just like small family owned business, right? But like you put so much heart and soul into everything, and you can feel that when you come in, you can sense that because you really do care about what you're doing and how to please each and every customer, right? Even though that might be harder for a lot of us, but you really do put an effort into like wanting to better the business each and every year, right? And I'm pretty sure it's growing from that. But you know what I mean? It's an interesting thing, the whole thing, just in general.
Yeah, no, it's just wanting to be the best that you can be, and that's like the goal.
Yeah.
But that never ends, because there's never gonna be like, oh, you made it.
Yeah.
You're the best.
No finish line.
There's no finish line to any of it, and so that's how I need to start looking at it more. Like before, I would always look at it, well, when I get to this level or when I get to this.
Yeah.
But I think now, when I'm like 80, I'm gonna look back at like now as being like the best time of my life.
Yeah.
And 100%. I'm gonna treat it like that.
Yeah. That's the I know. It's so funny. The guy that runs these crazy mountain races, he puts that in like every post pretty much when he does something. No finish line. I never understood that concept because I was like, there's always a finish line, right? And I guess it is when you die. But like, I never looked at it from a standpoint of like, yeah, that's actually kind of true. Like you have to keep working, because I have a feeling that the moment you find that finish line, then you probably just like get comfort,
For sure.
And you just don't want to like leave that finish line, because you're like, okay, I made my first mill, I'm good, right? But like it's never like that, you know what I mean? Like a lot of people nowadays, like I read a lot and watch a lot of YouTube on just like millionaires and what they do, right? And that type of mindset they have, and it's kind of true. Like there is no like finish line for them. They always want to better the business, better themselves, to be able to provide, you know what I mean, for everything and have that financial freedom. Like it's so funny, like when I talk about business with people, I'm like, yeah, okay, so the whole concept is, yes, you want to be rich, right? You want to have all this money, but like you want to have that money so you don't have to financially stress or you can just get up and go.
Yeah.
Right? You can do whatever you want to do and not have to focus on like, am I going to be able to pay for all my bills plus like leave to Italy for like 2 weeks, right?
Yeah.
It's not about being rich. It's just about having the freedom to get up and do all that. And I think about that like each and every day, and I'm like, fuck, like that's a great message to have, you know, no finish line.
Yeah, time is all you really have, you know, and it's just like I want to be able to do what I want to do with my time.
Yeah.
And right now I'm the closest that I've ever been, but I still have obligations and responsibilities that I need to tackle.
Of course.
And you know, my team, they're great at it, and we all have the same mindset and the same goal in mind, which is like that sort of freedom. The freedom that you wouldn't have working at a regular 9-to-5 job. You know, I want to step away from like just being a cog in the wheel of a machine. When we are a machine, you know, but it's just like we have a lot more control.
It's that whole rat race.
Yeah, for sure, man. And you know, it works for a lot of people. It does.
Some people don't want to think about like anything really. They want to be like, okay, I'm good. Like I even had this conversation with my buddy because you know, he works for this high-end like retreat in Malibu, right? And so you get these guys that are paying like $10,000 a week just to be there, right? And so I said, do you ever want to just like do this like on your own, this and that? He's like, bro, like I don't want to think about it. I just want to come into work and be like, okay, this is XYZ and I'm good to go. And you get this somewhat paycheck every 2 weeks. And that's what makes him feel good about himself, because he doesn't have to stress about promoting himself and doing all that. But there's also people that are like you that just say, I don't want to fucking be in this rat race anymore. Like I want to be able to like just get up and go and do my own thing without even stressing about anything else. And I'm kind of like that too. Like I quit my job at the gym. Like once I quit my corporate job after the whole fucking anxiety spiel shit, right? And then working at a gym and then being like, fuck man, like they're charging X amount of money for these people, right? They only give you like jack shit, like not even like $10 of it, right? And they're charging people like $100. And you know what I mean? I realized like, okay, I can do this for a little bit, but it's time to like move forward. Regardless if you fail, at least you gave it 100%.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I feel like I'm at that stage where I'm like, I'm always going to grow and keep pumping. You know what I mean? Like now I train your wife, right? And Lisa, you know, they bring so much joy, and we have these stupid conversations, right? It's just really funny conversations about everything, and I enjoy that, you know, when I wake up and Audie is like laughing and I'm sitting there, I'm like, what's going on in the group chat, right? I like love that aspect that I got to know you and your family more, you know what I mean? But I think when you love what you do, it makes things so much easier to like, live your life. For
sure, man. And the thing with me is I feel, I don't know if it's because I can see the path that others can't see, or if I was just able to find my own path, but I feel like everybody can do it if they just put their mind to it. It's just like running. Like I feel like everybody can do it. You're not just as long as you can actually do it, as long as you don't have a problem with running. If you can run a mile, okay, then you can run 2 miles, then you can run 5, then you can run 10, you know, and just keep stacking. And that's how I look at it, as being like having control of your own life. I feel like everybody can do it, but there's certain things that you're gonna have to put up with, you know, and you're gonna have to put up with the hardships that come with having your own business or what have you, and then you're going to get the benefits of it, you know. But a lot of people don't see it, and they just see it as like, oh well, that person was lucky, or oh well, they came from here, or they came from there. And that's why I like to talk to people about their past, where they're from, and how they got to where they're at, because people will just see it right now, and they'll see you and they're like, damn, he just ran, you know, 2 marathons back to back, like he must have been born with like fucking titanium legs and shit, you know. But there's like there's a whole path to it, and if people can understand the path, maybe it would motivate them to want to accomplish the goals that they never even thought that they would even try to tackle, you know.
I think even me growing up, I had this whole like victim mentality, and I think that's what stops people from achieving their goals, right? I think there's too many people nowadays that just want to play the victim, to be honest with you. And you can get into politics and all that kind of spiel, but like, I think people need to like look at themselves in a way where they're like, okay, like I'm just being a lazy piece of shit, and
For
this
sure.
is why I'm not like getting where I want to be at in life, right? But it's like that's the way Goggins sees it. But I see it as like, how much effort are you putting into yourself to get those dreams, you know, and ambitions and aspirations that you have? Like a lot of us don't even think about that stuff. They're just like, you know, it's like the whole rat race. You just go in, you go out, right? And I don't think that's the way to live your life. You know what I mean? Because you're not really living it to the fullest. You're just kind of there, right?
Yeah. You know, speaking of that, I just saw like a reel not long ago that like just made me think. It says like, okay, say you go to Disneyland, right?
Yeah.
If you were to go to Disneyland and just ride one ride over and over again, does that mean that you did Disneyland wrong? You know, or if you went and you rode every single ride, did you do it right? Or if you went and you just did your own thing or what have you, you know, like there's no wrong way to do Disneyland, you know, and that's my problem is like, I see people and I'm like, bro, you're doing it wrong. But maybe I see so much more potential in them than they see, which is that even my responsibility to point out, you know? Am I being like a dick for even pointing it out? I think it's like I don't like to hear people complain about things and then you see them doing the complete opposite or causing the things that they're complaining about. And I think when I stopped like putting my opinion on it or stopped diagnosing it or stopped trying to understand it and just being like, look, they just came to Disneyland to just fucking hang out. Do whatever you're gonna do, but don't tell me, damn, I wish I could have went on Splash Mountain, you know? Like that's the thing I don't like when just I'm living my life, I'm doing what I do. Don't look at me as something that a life that you can't live. You can live it, because when you're out partying and drinking and doing drugs and fucking all these bitches and shit like that, like that's the value that you have in that.
I never thought about it like that, to be honest with you.
And me neither. You know, it clicked to me when I saw that. I was like, damn. Because I know I've probably ruined a lot of relationships for being that kind of person. Being like, why are you doing this? Or why are you doing that? You know, and then just being... And I'm sure that voice inside of their head is telling them the same thing. And they're trying to shut that fucking voice up. And then here I am, you know, just telling them the same thing. And they're like, man, I don't want to be... Right. All right, cool. Do what you're going to do. But then on the other side is like... I'm not trying to spend time with you. I'm not trying to hang out with you. I'm not trying to have a conversation with you. And it's not that we're on different levels because I have a business and you don't.
Yeah.
It's because what I want out of life is not the same as what you want out of life. And I'm not trying to spend my time with you, whatever, my time talking to you, texting with you, having dinner with you, going on any sort of trips I'm not trying to do any of that. Because if I wasn't here right now, I would be doing something that I want to do.
100%.
You know, there's plenty of people that I want to hang out with that I don't hang out with because I'm like, well, it would be nice, but I want to go home and play with my daughter and play with my family and have time and chill with my wife and just chill. That's what I want to do.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to be around somebody that's going to be talking about their woes of their life. And then I just start hearing about, oh, so what'd you do yesterday? Oh, I just did this and I was just fucking just chilling. I'm like, man, get the fuck out of here, bro. I'm not trying to hear none of this shit. You know, and that's the hard part. Yeah. It's like, I want to motivate people so much where it's like to a fault. Where now kind of the thing that I'm on is like, all right, do what you're gonna do, bro. Fucking have fun at Disneyland, bro. I'm gonna be doing my thing.
So, do you have those type of conversations with Ashley?
As far as what?
Just like if like she's going through something, right? Are you like, I mean, are you more compassionate towards those feelings, or are you like, babe, well, you should be doing X, Y, Z, right?
She's really hard.
Yeah.
To tell things to.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. 100%.
For me, that you could tell me that like I'm doing something wrong, or I could be doing something better, and I'll have that thing in my head that's like, you know. But Ashley is like very feisty, so it's like she doesn't like to be told what to do.
Yeah.
Which is dope.
Every Latino.
You know? Yeah. So it's like,
yeah.
I show by example, not only to her but to my son and anybody in my you know immediate close circle. Everybody that knows me knows that I put myself through things that maybe they don't see that I should put myself through. Extra like way more disciplined than needed.
Yeah.
But I know that it's needed because they don't know the battle that I'm having inside. And I need to stick to my disciplines. Now, if you were to ask Ashley, that's not the life that she's looking for. She's not a creative person, meaning she's not trying to build a business. She's not trying to accomplish this or accomplish that.
Yeah.
But when there is something that she wants to do, like she's going to run this marathon, she's going to tap in. And she does it. And then when it comes those times where I could see that she needs that little push, I know how to push her. Like, you know, you just got to do it. Like, that's all you got to do it. You don't want it. Nobody wants to do this shit. You just got to do it. If this is your goal, you got to do it. And she's like, yeah, you're right. And then she'll go do it. But as far as being like we're pretty opposite in the way that we think about stuff.
Yeah.
Like think about, you know, time, think about, you know, the things that we do with our time, focusing, but she's on her own path. She's on her own path.
Yeah.
And she's accomplishing the goals that she wants to accomplish. Bro, like, okay, so for instance, a few years ago, I did 75 hard. Are you familiar with 75 hard?
Yeah.
Okay, so I did 75 hard, and it was hard. Yeah. Obviously, it's in the fucking name, but it was like hard for everybody because I had to eat my own thing. Like there were certain times that I could eat, or I had to go work out. Even when we would go on, you know, soccer trips for my son at nighttime, I would be going on my last 45-minute workout or what have you.
Yeah,
you know, and I never told her that I want her to do it. She should do it. She needs to do it. It would benefit her. She saw me do it, and then she saw like the positives that it brought out in me. You know, like, so like maybe a year later or so, I was gonna do it again, and she just tells me like, I want to do it. And I'm like, damn, that's crazy, because I never thought that she would want to do it. And then she did it, and we both did it together, and we accomplished it. And ever since then, you know, we've been running a lot and then going on runs together. And I see it. I see that part of her. It's coming out. And she's getting to the path that she wants. She's becoming the Ashley that she wants to become. You know, but it's hard. Because if you're not built like that. Like, she's not built like I am.
Yeah.
With me, I'm like, fuck it. You know, I was thinking today. Because I was listening to a podcast, they were talking about like Japan or whatever. I'm like, if I needed to, I can move to Japan and I'll be good in a week. Whatever I need to do, I'm that kind of person where I could just like flip on a switch. I'm like, all right, fuck, I guess I guess I live in Japan now.
Shit, we went to Japan for our honeymoon, and I was like, fuck, I would move out here in a heartbeat.
So sick, huh?
Yeah, it's such a beautiful place.
Yeah.
And everyone's like so polite, and you can like lose something and no one steals it.
Yeah.
You're like, whoa, what the fuck? Like, my wallet's still here. You know?
Yeah.
It's like insane. Yeah, their mentality is much different. These Asian countries, I feel like, have been through so much, right? I'm not saying that about United States, but like they've learned how to like overcome a lot of shit.
For sure.
You know what I mean? Like Japan being not on our side during WW2, right? And then all of a sudden they're like, I love America.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you guys are from America. You know, every time we were there, like, audio was like, damn, like, it's crazy. Like, we're like celebrities because we're from like America. So it's interesting. Like, they just learn and we all adapt. And I think everyone just adapts to like whatever is around them. And I think Ashley being around you is forcing her to adapt to the changes that you're making within yourself, right? And like Audie, for it took a while for her to realize that, right? And now she's making the changes to like do CrossFit, right? And I told her for so many months, you should go see Kobe. Like, nah, same thing. And then she finally does, and now she's like, oh, I fucking love this shit, right? I'm meeting so many people, they're coming out to the group runs and yada yada. And I'm just like, all you needed was like yourself to like realize that you are like worthy of like getting these goals that you want, right? I think a lot of us feel like they're like, fuck, am I even worthy of like doing this? Or am I worthy of getting this kind of shit? Like, I think people just say you deserve it, but like, like I've learned that like you can say that kind of stuff, but like people like have put themselves in the ringer to get that stuff, that the stuff that they have in life. And it may not be a lot of stuff. It could just be like more of like an inner thing of like, I did this to get this, right? I didn't need to like no one really deserves anything. It's like you putting it out there and being like, okay, I did the work. You know what I mean? I showed up for myself each and every day. Like I woke up at 4:00 in the morning, like your buddy down there, right? Wake up at 3:30 to go to the gym at 4 for 2 hours and then doing the same shit, afterwards. Like, I don't know if I can do that like per se, right? But like it would take that type of like habit, right? It's all about building a habit and realizing, okay, once I built this habit, that's what 75 Hard's so great, because all of a sudden you're like, okay, I did 2 workouts, I'm eating better, and I'm reading. Yeah. Right? Like I don't like reading, but then that probably triggered a lot of other things like, okay, I can read a book now, right? I read like literally, and I hate to say it, but I read one official book, and I'm talking about like in my adulthood, and it was literally about Beyond Training. It was called Beyond Training. And they all talked about was like training the mindset, training your body, eating better, like ways to biohack your life so you live a long life, right? An 800-page book. And I read the whole fucking thing.
God damn, that's a Bible, bro.
Dude, bro, and I seriously sat there like at days where I'd be staring at the TV and it's like Netflix is on. I'm like, fuck, okay, turn it off, right? And I'm sitting there reading, and the words are like this small, right? It's not big words, you know what I mean? It's not like a fucking 1 paragraph kind of page. You're like, fuck, I'm reading like 4 paragraphs in this shit. But it literally like it does change your whole philosophy of who you are and what you want to be. And like you're at that stage now, man. Like you're growing a business. You know what I mean? Like we're downstairs looking at the skateboarding stuff and all that. You're like your first passion, and you can sense that this is like the next chapter for you. Yeah. You know what I mean? Now you got this podcast, and now we got to just keep, making it bigger and bigger and getting that voice out. Cause I think a lot of people have a lot to say, but people don't want to say shit because they're scared to say shit because cancel culture. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like I could say one thing and someone could take it and flip it and be like, this person is being ignorant, or this person doesn't understand what I'm going through. Like none of us are going to understand what you're going through, of course, but like it's looking at it from a different perspective of like, I don't want to play the victim anymore, and only way I'm ever going to overcome this shit is to like really work on that shit. That inner child stuff.
For sure. You're right, the playing victim, the inner child, bro, and I was on that for a long time, and just at what point do you just look at it and be like, okay, these are the cards I was dealt, let's fucking go, let's fix it, let's move on, let's get past it. Like, why you're here, why you feel those ways, why you respond in these sort of ways. Okay, now what? Like, what do you want now? Let's fucking figure it out. Let's do something. And just just testing my discipline, that's pretty much the biggest thing that's helped out. And just personal growth and calling myself out on all of my bullshit. Yeah. And with doing that, I can see bullshit in other people. I'm like, bro, the only reason you're saying that is because you haven't faced whatever you need to face.
Yeah, I think even myself till this day, there's plenty of shit that I should be, focusing. Like, yeah, we all deal with anxiety, and I still do, but I learned how to manage it, and I learned that it doesn't need to consume my life, right? So it's about really sitting down with yourself and being like, fuck, man, like I got a lot of issues. And like, if I keep doing these, if I keep being in this like vortex of poor me, right? Am I ever going to get anywhere in life? Probably not. You know, it's like the whole Disneyland thing. You can be content in being on one ride for 8 hours, or you can experience what God has given you and experience the whole world, right? And Disneyland and go on every ride and live that life that you want to. And it honestly, like a lot of this, like this sparked for me because I did a Tony Robbins. I don't know if you know Tony Robbins at all, but, you know, this big guru that just kind of helps with their mindset, right? I did a whole 3-day, actually, ironically, it was actually during when you're running the marathon. And so I didn't get to go out and support everyone, but, so I did this whole like 4-day thing, right? And it literally was like anywhere from 12 to 15 hours, right? And you're sitting there like, just like, it's in your head, right? And he does all these different things. And I'm sitting there like, fuck, man, like you're up at all hours because you don't know what day. So what they do is they don't tell you, and I think they do it on purpose. People are like pissed, but they don't tell you, hey, every day at 8 o'clock, right? We're going to meet at 8 o'clock. They're like, they literally tell you like the day, like as you're ending the first day, hey, we're going to meet up at 5 o'clock your time, Eastern time, right? Pacific time. So for people in the UK, it's completely different. From people in Australia, completely different, right? So there's plenty of days where I was like, dude, I'm up at like 3:30 getting up to make coffee to be on a thing at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, okay. So it was like a Zoom or something? Okay, got you.
So you're all over the place, right? And you're on this whole screen and you're just like, Tony's like picking on people and talking. You get to share your experiences. But when I look back at the Facebook towards the end of the whole seminar, people are like complaining, like, "Oh, I expected this, I expected that." I'm like, "Well, your expectations of what you thought it was, like, it's that comfort, you know what I mean? Like they expected X, Y, Z." But I'm like, this was supposed to throw you off so you can kind of learn from that, because life itself, I took it as life itself is always gonna have curveballs. What do you do with it, right? And I tell Audie the same shit, like. I said, that was just a curveball. What are you going to do? Are you just going to sit there and get mad and be upset about it? Or are you going to figure out the solution, right? A lot of us don't want to figure out solutions in life. Yeah. They just want to complain about life and then that's it, right? But there's always a solution to everything. And I think you're part of the problem or you're not.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I hate to say it like that. And I know we're on a podcast and whatnot, but like I've learned that in life, you can't be like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. Like people that listen to this podcast, if they listen to it for a long time, they know kind of my stance on things, and especially if you follow me on social media, I'm kind of like, you say, if you're fucking fat, you're fat because of the choices that you're making in life. You know, I don't want to hear about like how sad you are with being fat, and then you're not doing shit about it.
Yeah.
Like one time I was, it was actually a run club I was running, and I seen this lady, and she was pretty big, dude, and she was like running and trying to run. She had the whole outfit and everything, and I was looking at her and waited for her to look at me, and then I fucking like gave her a thumbs up.
Yeah.
Like fucking do it, bro.
Yeah.
You're doing it. You're putting in that work.
Yeah.
Like when you realize that it's a problem and then you're gonna do something about it, like fuck yeah, dude, I'm behind you 1,000%. But if you're just gonna be a fat piece of shit and not do nothing about it, like I don't give a fuck about your feelings, bro. I don't fucking care, dude. Yeah. You know, I don't care, and I'm not here to sympathize with you about like what you've been through or whatever. Like, you know what you've been through. Okay, that's good. Now fucking figure it out. Do something fucking about it, dude.
So why do you think that is? Why do you think people have such a hard time?
Well, I think it's just indulging in feeling good. They wanna feel good or feel comfortable. It's, you know, take away food, put in alcohol, put in sex, put in drugs, put in fucking candy, put in watching TV, put in whatever the fuck you want into there. Yeah. They're doing it because they don't want to do what they need to do. You know, I like to just, you know, I like to chill and, you know, watch TV every once in a while, but you're talking like, it's rare, dude. I don't get home and be like, all right, 7 o'clock, I just got to throw on the fucking TV. I'm going to watch my show or whatever. Like, no, dude, I don't. I fucking love smoking weed. I probably smoke weed like once or twice a week. And you're talking about a little stupid ass bowl, bro. I'd like to be there with like a fucking Method Man blunt and just fucking chilling, smoking in my backyard. But then I know what that leads to. You know, that leads to eating bad. It leads to like feeling like shit the next morning. It's taking so long for me to start in the morning.
So you've been through that.
Yeah, I've been through it, so I know. You know,
Yeah.
I'm not trying to go through that shit, dude. Like there was an era of Fat Frank, because Fat Frank was just fucking going out to eat toppers every day. I had my own business. I could leave whenever I want. I could eat whatever the fuck I want. I want to get candy. I want to get energy drinks, and I felt like shit, dude.
Was that before Ash or no?
That was with Ash.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
For sure. And I've been through all of these things, and that's why I could talk about it. You know, I'm not talking about something that I haven't been through, and that's how I could recognize that stuff.
You know, it's funny because I actually, years ago, I was watching this video and he was talking about this guy. He's a personal trainer, right? Super jacked, super fit. And all of a sudden he's all like, it's not hard to get fit, right? And people are like, nah, you don't know what it's like, right? He had these clients that were like, nah, you don't know what it's like. So he purposely gained a lot of weight. So he literally gained like over 100 pounds. It could have been, I could have exaggerated, right? But he gained enough weight to be like, okay, his body fat's up here, like all this shit, right? He lost all his muscle on purpose. And then he worked out with his clients and said, it's not that difficult. And so he lost all that weight and said, see, here you go. He went back to normal, right? And, oh, no, you're different. They had an excuse for everything. He's like, there's no such thing as excuses. It's just showing it for yourself and doing the work.
Yeah.
And it's so funny how, like, people don't see it like that. You know what I mean? And I could be one of them in certain situations for sure. You know what I mean? But, yeah, again, those lazy mentalities. I'm like, fuck, man. Like, what am I doing today? But it's also, like, looking at it from a different standpoint as well. And I try not to judge myself. But there's also, like, sometimes I need a kick ass. Like, today, before I saw you went to the gym. And I was like, okay. It's so funny because the other day, Ashley and Lisa were texting the group. And then I was like, okay, they're doing their runs. I should probably get out and do something, right? And so that was like a motivation today to be like, okay, if my clients are texting me that they're doing shit, right? And I see it, then it's my motivation, even after a week of taking no running from the race, right? I said, okay, I gave my body a reset. Now it's time to get back onto the grind again, right? And start doing shit that's going to benefit me in the next 6 months, right? Because I got a lot of big plans happening in these next 6 months for sure. But you know what I mean? Like, I think that's what we all need. You see it firsthand. You're like, okay, fuck. All right. Just like how Ashley saw you firsthand doing 75 hard, just how Audie saw me working out and seeing a dietitian. Like, you know, at some point you got to realize, okay, like this needs to happen for us to like level up. And I feel like I'm a big spiritual dude, right? So I sit there and I'm like, okay, like God's gonna put you in a certain situation to grow, right? But it's also like, when you're in that situation, what do you do with it, right? Do you just start crying and have a pity party, or do you figure out the solution of like, what can I do to like get to the next place, right? And I've been at that point in my life where 2018 was like shit, 2019 was like shit, and then COVID happened, right? And then all of a sudden COVID stopped everyone from living life. And I said, I'm not gonna let COVID, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not vaccinated, and it wasn't for a purpose of political views. It was like, I don't need it because I try to live a life of like holistically, right? But it's also like, well, I don't want to stop working out. Why would they tell you not to work out? Like, if you're sick, right, and your body's like compromised, yes, I get that. But it's also looking at it from a standpoint of like, you need to stay fit, or you need to like take care of yourself mentally, physically, spiritually, to be able to like not let like COVID happen. And I think having that mentality kind of started a whole thing for me in 2020 leading up to like this point in my life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, COVID was like a very interesting thing. People don't want to know my opinion about it, but I would tell them anyway. You know, me and you have the same viewpoint on all that shit, right? But it was like, I looked at it and I was like, fuck, man, like, these people are getting all these shots and all these boosters thinking that it was going to stop some type of virus, but in reality it was it wasn't really stopping it. You know, they told the news, right, if you get it, you don't have to worry about it, and whatnot. But it was very interesting because like I feel like people use that as their gateway to like not do shit. Right? Okay, I'm gonna get free burgers and fries from Shake Shack and a case of beer to get a shot. But in reality, if I don't want to get COVID, which, you know, majority of people got COVID, right? But I looked at it from a standpoint of, man, maybe I should probably eat better and take care of myself and take the supplements. Like Audie and I were taking like 20 million things, right? Just to like make sure our immune system was going to be okay. And we got COVID once. We went to the hospital, and even from that, people were telling her like, "I wish you die," and like all this crazy shit. And I'm
really?
like, "Yeah, bro." Like friends are like, people are like, "You're the cause of the problem. Why COVID is like spreading and all this stuff, right?" And I was like, and I told her, I said, "Those are not your friends. Yeah. Like, delete them." Right?
Oh my God! Wow.
Yeah, bro.
That's so sad,
dude. Super sad that the fact that someone got that offended.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you don't even hang out with them, and then you're blaming, you know, anti this, anti that. But like, I knew from the get-go, going to my holistic doctors at that time, that wearing a mask, right, a blue medical mask, caused more issues, and studies have shown that shit. So why would I put that in my body then? Why would I wear something like that? And people give a shit. And it was crazy. Just that itself taught me. So it's funny enough, COVID taught me how to be more compassionate towards others. Because when I got COVID, I said, okay, mine wasn't like flu-like symptoms, right? Like mine was actually like, I felt like I was dying. And so I realized, okay, I need to be more compassionate towards others and how they feel about COVID and how they feel about, you know, their life at that time, right? And so it really taught me more about that, and be like, okay, I shouldn't judge anyone anymore, right? Even though we make judgments every day. But I literally were like, okay, no more judging people. If they want to wear a mask and they feel safe and they're in their car by themselves, that's all of them, right? But myself now, I mean, nowadays I look at that stuff and I'm like, my old self would be like, okay, like, look at that idiot. Why are they doing that, right? But now I'm like, nah, I'm cool. Like, I look over, I look back, and I'm like, let me just live my life.
For sure.
You
For
know?
sure. I don't want to be the reason for anybody to feel bad, especially if like maybe they're already feeling bad.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And most people are bots anyways, bro. At the end of the day. Most people, they're just not thinkers, they're not doers, they're just existers. They just exist.
Yeah.
Which is cool. It don't have nothing to do with me, bro. Go ahead. You know?
I know, it's funny because Goggins is completely different, right? Mindset, and all these other people I listen to. And it's really true. Like, that guy went through fucking hell, right?
Yeah.
You read his book and listened to his podcast. Like, fuck, man, like, this guy saw some kids, like, head get squashed by a bus, right? And you're like, fuck, man, like, how does someone see that? I met him in person. Like, coolest dude.
No
right?
way.
Yeah, I met him in person. He was doing, when he was doing his 4x4 by 48, he went to Ventura CrossFit gym. And so he showed up and he drove. So during that 4-hour downtime after his run, he drove from San Diego, LA, driving over to Ventura. So I met him in person. We took a picture. The guy was like, he's a beast. And he was so polite. Like, he went to every officer in every intersection that they closed and shook their hand and then was like, I appreciate you being out here. Thank you so much. Like what he says in his books is like how he lives his life.
Yeah.
You know, and I really appreciate that. And a lot of people don't like him for that, you know. But I think he's very authentic, and I think a lot of us don't live our own authentic self life that we deserve, or even not even saying deserve, but what we want, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And,
Desire.
There you go. So
yeah, I love Goggins. Damn, he's the man, dude.
I know. He does, like,
that's so cool.
I mean, it's so funny because you read, I don't even know if you like gone down the rabbit hole, but there's a lot of Navy SEALs calling him out, saying he's just a poster child and like all this crazy shit, right? And then he's like, talk all your shit, you know what I mean? Keep talking shit, whatever. I done this. I don't need to prove myself to anyone.
Yeah.
And I'm like, fuck, man. Like, I think you made it. Like, there's a component where people say, like, you know, you made it is when people talk shit about you. Yeah. Right. And I think about that. I'm like, oh, that's actually true. Because when people talk shit about you, there's something within themselves that they need to figure out. Right. And that's why they're talking shit. But also just like knowing that, like, you don't give a fuck about anyone, you know, and what they say and how they say it. You're just like, okay, cool. I'm done. You know what I mean?
For sure, bro. That's definitely the ultimate goal. It's really hard, but it's just been getting easier and easier when, like,
yeah,
when I get home and my daughter's right there and she's like so excited to see me and wants to play, why the fuck would I give a shit what anybody else has to say about anything. Like, nobody really knows me. Like, you know, the people that I work here with, they know me probably the closest because I spend the most time with them.
Yeah.
But even like friends and, you know, associates that I have, like, you know, the image of me that I put out there.
Mm-hmm.
And whatever you gather from that is, you could put that together and you can think like, you know me, or you know who I am. But
Yeah.
the people that only really know me are like my wife and my son and my daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And then like my sister. I'm really close with
Yeah.
my sister. But everybody else, if you looked at it, like if you had your whole year out and then you highlighted every day that I spoke to certain people,
Mm-hmm.
it's not gonna add up to much. And it's like, so I've been a whole entire year, and I've spent with you 12 hours out of this whole year, even
Yeah.
3 days out of this whole year. What about the whole rest of, like, you don't know who I am. And
Yeah.
any of these people that think that they know who I am or my character or whatever, like, that's cool. But it doesn't matter
Yeah.
to me, you know. Like, I've far surpassed any sort of goals or expectations that I had for my life at this point. So like, I don't have to listen to what anybody else says or thinks about me.
So what's your next goal? What do you have in life? Like, what do you want to accomplish?
Just have the business more sustained, where I don't have to be here as much.
Yeah.
So I could focus more on the creatives of it, traveling more with the family, and just having more. All of that just ties back into freedom, having more freedom of things that I want to do. Any sort of like actual goal that I have in mind, I can't really think of anything.
You're doing the marathon again next year.
Probably not.
What?
Yeah, because Ashley's gonna do it.
So
Yeah.
run together.
I don't know. I might. She was laughing.
Your
at
son's
me.
running it too.
No, he's not.
He's not.
He's not gonna run it. Shout out to him. But he's yeah. He'll say like, "Oh hell yeah, I'm down," and then we're like, "Oh, I can't do it." It would be sick if he did it, and I know he could do it because he's he's a beast. But he just doesn't see the value in it. You know,
Yeah.
It's not his thing right now. He has his own. He's
playing soccer.
Yeah,
You know.
he has his girlfriend and he's on his path in life right now. He's gonna do what he wants to do. And like Ash is stoked on it. She was telling me like, you don't want to beat your time or whatever. I'm like, I don't really care like that.
Yeah.
You know, because my thing was I wanted to do it. If you're telling me right now, let's go run a marathon tomorrow, I'll do it.
Mm-hmm.
Would I want to do it? No, I don't want to fucking do it. You know, but I'll do it, and I know I can do it. And all right, let's just get it done. But that was like, I feel like for running, the pinnacle for me was, okay, I got a marathon under my belt.
Done.
And if you tell that to anybody else, they'll be like, damn, that's a good goal to have, you know. And I'd just like to just stay on top of my running and keep focusing on it more. But I'm not as passionate about it as maybe like you are.
Yeah.
Which is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
It's awesome that you are.
Yeah.
But it's like, this is, I've accomplished that goal with it, and I'm pretty satisfied.
You're part of the 1%.
Yeah. That's
1%.
it. You know, I'm satisfied with it.
I don't know if I'm ever going to be satisfied with my running.
Mm-hmm. Why do you feel that?
Because I feel like, I don't know, I just, like, it's that whole imposter syndrome. It's just like feeling like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, like I even talked to my therapist about this, and it was like you can do the craziest amount of shit, but then like at some point, like I just tell myself it's like a high, right? You just get high for like a little bit, right? A few days, and you're like, fuck, I can't believe I just did this shit, right?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you're just like, okay, it all goes away. What's the next thing, right? And I think that's the whole part of like running these longer endurance races or endurance events, is people are always wanting to challenge themselves to like see what they can do, but like, are they really satisfied with what they just did, right? Because if you really are satisfied with all that, you wouldn't be going out and doing so much of it, right? You'd be like, okay, like that was fucking good, man, like let me just kick back for a little bit, right? I always feel that way. And that's why I don't race as much. Like I literally talk to someone that races like every other weekend or like multiple times in a year, and I'm like, you get burnt out from that kind of shit, right?
Yeah.
And then you're just looking for the next high, But I think when you really put your effort into like one thing and then be like, okay, that was good, that's great, let me take a time to like breathe and relax for a bit, and then you find the next goal. And I think once you hit that goal, whatever it may be, then you figure out the next goal. But I don't know, it's a weird thing. Like, I feel like it's the whole comparison of, and that's probably what it is, and some shit I probably have to look at, but when you compare yourself, right, to other people, okay, this person ran a 15-minute 5K, this person does this, right, then you feel like you're never gonna ever feel worthy of anything until you hit those type of goals that they have, right? And there is a dark side of the community for sure, right? Because you feel like everyone's there to like help you out and support you, which yeah, there is, but there's also the aspect of people saying, oh, well, that's not that fast.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Everyone's always going to, even though people will say, no, it's not like that, it's true. Like, there's always someone that's always going to say something behind your back regardless. You know what I mean? And I never want to be part of that whole thing, because I think if, say you're a 300-pound person and you ran a 30-minute 5K, I think that's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
I think just running and finishing something is fucking awesome. And I appreciate that. And I see that and the value of that. But for myself, like, you know, I think if only way I'm going to see myself, like you saw me and you're like, fuck man, you ran 2 back-to-back marathons, right? In this like hour difference. And I see myself as, yeah, that's like normal to me. But like, was I satisfied with it? Yeah, I was satisfied for a couple days, but then afterwards it kind of fell off, and I was like, okay, what am I going to do now? Like, what's the next high I need? And is that going to really bring me that? And so running in the beginning of me was like more meditative, right? I used to pray, I used to meditate, I was like grabbing the dirt and like rubbing on my hands and be like, you know, thank you natives. And I still do that, right? I thank you natives for allowing me to be on this land, right? Because I think there's something sacred about that, of being part of this whole spiel, right? And so I think when you're in tune with the land, you're in tune with yourself, right? And I think that for me was always, the goal was to be more with myself and God, right? I'm a big believer of God. And so when I ran, I literally would just have these conversations, and people probably thought I was talking to myself, but I literally just have these conversations. And it really brought me peace. And then as you get into these other aspects of running and what you're doing, then you start to like get a little more harder on yourself about it. And it became meditative to, I need to do this to be known as someone who got it. You know what I mean? So it was more of like, I like this last thing I did wasn't even about having a goal in mind, right? People are just like, you know, are you going to go for a goal? And it wasn't even about that for me. It was like, I'm spending quality time with 2 people that I coach, and I'm spending time in a city that I haven't been to in 3 years, right? And Audio's super excited, and we ate a lot of good food. It was about the aspect of being with friends and family and enjoying that aspect of running. It wasn't like, yeah, the marathon was like the cherry on top, both of them, but it was more about pushing myself to the limit of that, but also like knowing that like I can do a lot of hard things. But you know what I mean? I think just the whole trip itself really taught me more about myself than anything.
Yeah.
You know, I broke down, I started crying, like I was texting the girls, yeah, I'm at mile 21, everything fucking hurts. Like my IT band was all shot. I couldn't even like run. But like what you said earlier, if I asked you to go run 26 miles, you wouldn't want to, but you're going to do it anyway. And that's how I felt like, I feel like I didn't want to let anyone down, right? Because I had this whole aspect of, I'm going to run double, right? And if I let someone down, I let myself down, because I let the mindset like take over me, right? Yeah. Even in the situation I literally got done. I was like, I waited for like an hour plus for my friends and clients to get back, and I'm sitting in the cold with like gloves on and a jacket, and it's like fucking kind of rainy, windy, and I'm sitting in this tent with like no space blanket, right? And I'm like fucking cramping up so bad. And then we're walking back like another half mile to his condo, and I couldn't even like walk. I was like, fuck, how am I supposed to run a marathon right now? Like in another hour. I took a shower, I laid there, took a power nap, got up, and then I changed my shoes, and I said, okay, this will be better. I started running, and the pain was there from the beginning. My friend and client was like, are you okay? And I'm like, I'm just not thinking about it. you just go to that place where you're like, it's funny because I listened to a podcast on the way here, and the guy's like, and it's funny, you get to a stage in your life, or just in running, we'll just say his was for running, but you just block everything out.
Yeah.
And you sit there and you're like, like I'm gonna block everything I'm thinking about. And I literally thought about that on the second marathon. I was like, I'm just gonna block everything out, block the noise, block all this shit, just enjoy the tree, enjoy this like fucking art piece that's everyone's going crazy for in San Francisco, right? And like literally like that's how I pushed through it. And the fact that like Ashley and Lisa and Audie and all these people were like messaging me and saying, get your fucking ass up, man, like let's go fucking push it, you know what I mean? I'm sitting like fucking crying like, oh fuck, this fucking hurts, you know what I mean? And then I fucking finished it, and Audie posted the video, and then Ashley responds like, this made me cry just seeing this. And I thought, shit, man, like I was fucking crying from like mile 21 to like this point. And but then I thought like the bigger picture is like, sometimes if I take myself out of context, the context of everything, like somehow I'm inspiring someone to do something difficult and hard, you know what I mean? And maybe there's no such thing for me as in like, I just want to be the best I can be, right? And I don't want anyone to ever feel like they can never do anything, because we all have the ability to do a lot of shit and hard shit. It's just, you know, I did it for people like I have a guy that my brother's best friend. I coach him as well, and he has cancer.
Wow.
Right. So, you know, he's dealing with cancer. He's like kind of like off and on with this like lymph nodes type of thyroid cancer. Right. So ever since he had it like 10 to 12 years ago, he's never been the same. Right. He can't go surf as much as he used to and all that kind of stuff. And we used to do that as a kid. He's like 10 years older than me. And I told him, I said, on the way there, we're like in like Gilroy or like somewhere in wine country. He calls me because he did his art piece. He paints for his therapy. So he painted this whole thing for me, right? And it's actually kind of a cool painting, because the concept of it is like he does like this whole artsy thing, but every dot that he does, it's not the same, right? And then I took it as in like in life, nothing's ever going to be perfect, right? You look at it in a way and you can interpret the way you want. But he called me and I said, bro, I'm running this for you. He's like, no, don't fucking do that. And I'm like, bro, you can't run. You talk about how this inspires you. And I like dedicated like my run like for him. And he probably doesn't want to know that, you know, because he was like, no. But I'm like, dude, like the bigger picture for me is doing things for people that can't do it. And I think that's where I get a lot of my motivation from, because there's a lot of people out there that just wish they can do a lot of things, but they can't. And I'm doing it for them, but I'm also doing it for myself. I'm also doing it just to like, yeah, we all say we don't, but people do it for the Instagram likes, people do it for Strava likes, like people do it for that kind of shit. And we all could go down that rabbit hole too. But, you know, some part of it's just like, oh, I want people to see that I did hard shit, but it's really like, it shouldn't really matter if people know that you did hard shit or not. You know, the fact that you did it, that's the only thing that should really matter.
Yeah. Should and does. Those are definitely two different things. It's good to show progression, you know, and show what you've gone through and where you've been. And like, you know, just your story, like other people will tell it. Like I'll tell it, like, oh, my buddy ran 2 marathons back to back. Like that's fucking crazy, bro. Yeah. You know, it's a huge accomplishment.
It is. I don't know, maybe because running it just feels more natural to me, that I'm like, I don't really put that much emphasis on it as much as I used to. Like when I was running and racing, I was like really putting like a hard effort into all that, right? Yeah. But then as I gotten older, right, I'm in this new age bracket now, I started to realize like when I was injured, right, you would see me either on the bike filming or taking pictures, or you would just kind of see me like, you know, at some part of the bush, and then I walk back. But then I realized that like people don't care if I run in this group. Like people are just like, where the fuck is he? Where is he taking a picture at? Where is he at right now? Yeah. You know what I mean? Like I think that hyped up more people in the club than anything, you know, because everyone's like, hey, where's the pictures at? Like, what does it look like? And I'm like, bro, I didn't even like edit anything yet. I didn't even do anything. Like I just barely downloaded it to my my phone. But it's interesting, like your perception of like oh, I'm a runner, I'm a coach, I do this, I have a run club, but then like people don't really care if you run or not.
Yeah.
You know, especially for us, like there's some people that probably be like, and there's some people that out there that want a coach that does all these crazy hard shit, right? And there's someone that just says, hey man, like you have the experience, you have the knowledge, you have this whole nother vibe that's much different than any other coach I had. I had a coach, and my coach was a shitty ass coach. You know what I mean? Like he would tell you like he was just more masculine. Maybe at that time I couldn't deal with it because I was a little more sensitive to like defensive to that kind of stuff. But you know, he taught me more about my life than anything, and I thank him for that, and I bless him for that. And I think a lot of us don't really bless those kind of shit, right? We don't look at things in that perspective, but when you can let go and bless that kind of stuff, then you kind of leveled up and moved on. And so because of him, I was able to look at it from a standpoint of if I was a coach, or if I was talking to someone, or if I was personal training someone, I would never want to talk to them like that.
Yeah.
In a way where it makes them feel like it's like belittling them.
Got
right.
you.
And so when I became a coach, I said, fuck man, like I really want to be different.
Yeah.
Right. And I think life experiences have definitely shown that. You can talk to me about anything and everything, right? And I'm open book. And as you can tell in this podcast episode, like I literally talked about like half my childhood, but it even stems from just like as a kid getting rejected all the time. Right. And that you don't realize like how much trauma that creates as you get older, because all of a sudden someone rejects you, or you get a job rejection or whatever it may be. And you're like, fuck, I'm like a piece of shit, man. I'm never going to get this way. And I think a lot of this stuff in life has taught me more about myself, even till this day. You know what I mean? Going through hard shit. Like that second marathon, I'm not even kidding you. Like it was like, we woke up late. We got to the start line late. I had to call the guy and be like, yo, Michael, like I need you to like tell me where this start line's at so I can run. He's like, bro, you can't even run. I'm like, what do you mean I can't run? He's like, the sweepers are in front. I'm like, what do you mean? But I can't fucking run. He's like, hold on. So he tells me, calls me, right? And he says, hey, you can fucking make it. Just run a mile, but you got to run fast to catch up to them. So we caught up to them, right? We get to mile 5. The girl's like, you're not going to be able to make it. They're going to close the course down over here. She's like trying everything she can to like stop us from like doing this part of the race. And then this guy shows up. He's like, I'm going to fucking do whatever I want, right? Just kind of goes through. And I was like, all right, I'm going to follow this dude.
Yeah.
So I follow this dude, right? And then we get on top of the bridge. I'm like, what the fuck, dude? Like, and all of a sudden, like, everything is like, whatever. I'm on the bridge running, having like a little anxiety running on a bridge while it's fucking windy and rainy. And that was another thing, right? I'm dealing with that. So, okay, that's 3 things within an hour I'm dealing with. And then I get to mile 15 and my IT blam fucking blows up. And I'm like, fuck, I can't even run. So I got 9 miles left, right? Or 11 miles left to finish this race. And I said, man, that's like, this is like all my life, right? I can literally sit there and be like, why is everything happening to me all at once? Or I can learn from each thing and just kind of push forward. And I think I've learned that through my whole life, that as a kid to an adult, that you kind of have to push through those feelings, you know what I mean? And push through that fucking shit that, your mindset's going to be completely different after this. And I think that's what happened, was I pushed through all that crazy shit. And I was like, all right, I've endured life as a kid. And I literally look at that kind of stuff, like as I run, like I dealt with more shit as a kid.
Yeah.
This should be nothing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's that whole comparison. Okay, I can do this. And that's what really helps me move forward in life.
Yeah. I tell Ash that all the time. I said, dude, you fucking had 2 kids, bro. You could do a marathon. It's nothing. You got it.
You popped out 2 kids.
Yeah.
I mean, shit. My sister popped out 4 kids.
I can have no fucking kid, dude. So if we can we go back a little more into your childhood?
Yeah, ask me, man.
So where were you born at?
I was born here.
Okay.
Oxnard.
Okay.
So I was born at Old St. John's.
Okay.
Old St. John's Hospital, and I think we lived off at H Street. So
okay.
I moved to Camarillo when I was like just about 3.
Gotcha.
So my dad the whole crazy thing. So my dad was in Guam while he got murdered. And we found out it was 3 dudes. They just like broke his arm, do some shit, threw him overboard. So they never found his body. So that's the whole crazy thing. I don't tell, like, everyone's going to know now, but like most people don't really know that because like Audie, like we're very spiritual, right? So like Audie went to like a medium person, and then this medium kind of like said, oh, this happened, blah, blah, blah. And I've always felt something was like off about that, right? And so
about his passing?
Yeah, because like my dad was like from what my mom said, and like his family, because a lot of his family, like we don't have a relationship with his family in Ohio. So they would come and be like, "Oh, your dad be so proud. He was crazy. You know, he did a lot of crazy stuff. Like he was a big mountain dude, right? He was a big scuba diver. He skydived a lot. Like I found we have his parachute actually in my shed, and I have his like flight log, and it says everything he's done. He's like written it down in his like little book, which I don't even know if the book's still there. So I know my dad's like a thrill seeker, right? So sometimes when I go on mountain runs and stuff like that, I can feel his presence for sure. But yeah, dude, like childhood was kind of insane because of that, and I think growing up like not having a dad, and like Father's Day would come around, right, and you'd be like, fuck, like I got a mom doing two things at once, right? And so her life of like my mom plays the victim, and I hate to say it like that, but my mom's a very victim person. Like that's what she's going through right now at home. But she's just like, it's a hard day for her for sure, and I understand why. So I don't get upset about it anymore as a kid. But my mom was just doing the best she can to raise three people on her own, right? And so our house that we live in now, we used to have a lot of people just come in and out. It was like an Airbnb, you know. Like we had like my aunt and her uncle. Well, they came from the Philippines, right? And they stayed with us for a few months, and then we had this person, then we had that person, and then at one point my brother and I were like helping my mom pay for the mortgage, right? And so all my money went to that. And so a lot of the things I have now, and you know, like financial stuff, right? I realized like the way my mom lived was like put things on credit cards, right? And so I learned that, right? And so I got in debt, and I figured I fucked myself over with that shit, right? So, and then I started to look at other things and like, fuck, okay, this is not the way to do things, you know? So like my childhood of learning was interesting, learning things from my mom. My mom's a very cold person in that sense, where she didn't understand how to manage herself and like how to take care of a family. Like, yeah, she did both, but like she never talked about anything. So if you brought up my dad, she'd be like, shut down. She'd be like, I don't want to talk about it, right? And so she would only talk to my sister about it. And it really was like, okay, so I never talked about it. So anytime I saw her doing bills, if I opened the door, she's like writing on an envelope on the bed. I knew that like it's a stressful time, so I'm never going to bother her. So even till this day, if I see her sitting there doing shit, I'd be like, oh, I'm not going to talk to her, right? And so that brings back old trauma and past of like growing up of like, fuck, man, like my mom went through the ringer for sure. You know what I mean? Like that's the whole thing that's so crazy to me like nowadays. And I, you know, not trying to get into much politics about stuff like that, but like I use this story to tell people that my mom could have just resorted and just took us all back to the Philippines, right? And said, I'm just going to live with family, because she has 14 siblings, right? She had 2 parents at that time. You know what I mean? Everyone lives in a compound. They all take care of each other. But my mom inspired me to like keep pushing forward even after everything she's done. You know what I mean? Because she wanted to live this American dream of like having a better life in this country than not having any life in another country, especially like where she lives at. It's not, my mom lives in the poverty part of the Philippines. So it's like people are fucking eating cats and dogs and like whatever they can find, you know what I mean? And so, you know, other Filipinos will tell you that too, but it's interesting as a kid growing up of just depending on my brother. Like my brother was like my other father figure, right? But he wasn't like, but that's not his job, right? Like half the time he'd be like, you're a pussy, like man up, right? Do this, do that. And I think as a kid, you don't want to hear that kind of shit, right? But you do it anyway. Oh, my brother told me to man up. He says I'm a pussy. So that itself triggered a lot of things too. You know what I mean? As a kid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I had no self-confidence. I had rejection issues. I had didn't feel like worthy of love. Like I grew up being cold. Like even in our marriage right now, me and Audie, you know, there's sometimes I'm like kind of cold, but I don't mean to be like that. It's just because subconsciously I was like embedded in that. So like the way Audie and Latina Mexican cultures are, you hug each other, you kiss each other, you laugh. When they talk, they're screaming, but they're not screaming. You know what I mean? It's like this whole culture. And when you go from that household to my household, it's like la la la, and it's like quiet, No one talks. Everyone's very to themselves. Everyone's just watching TV. You know what I mean? Like my mom never really like had a conversation of like, oh, so are you having sex? I found condoms in your thing, right? Like, are you doing this? Are you doing that? Like she'd always say, be careful, you know, like don't do anything stupid. And that's it. Like, but she knew what I was doing, but she never like got upset about it. But then I'm like the child that gets everything dumped on, because my brother and sister are like the wild ones, right? They're the ones that go out and do all the crazy shit, right? They depend on my mom at that time, even till this time, to like help them out and give them this and give them that. I'm the only child who was like, I don't need you. I don't need your help. I don't need you to give me a handout, right? Because as a kid, I felt like I can do everything on my own. So I had that mentality the whole time growing up as a kid, with like, no, I'm good. So like to this day, sometimes like my family, like even Audie tells me like, you know, they're so dependent on my mom, and here you are not doing shit. My mom thinks I'm like the worst child because I got tattoos and piercings, right? And so she always gives me shit for that still to this day. I don't know why you get this shit. Why would you ruin your body? God's gonna like judge you.
Oh my God.
You better go. My mom's very Catholic.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to go to do, you know, a million Hail Marys and Our Fathers, like this and that. So like my household of, you know, like most Filipinos are Catholic and Christian. But like that was like, if you go to my room, the living room, it's like a vanity. Like, bro, there's like 1,000 statues of Jesus, 1,000 statues of the Virgin Mary, like everything. Because my mom, she's like a hoarder, so she collects a lot of this kind of stuff because that's what she depended on when she was going through everything, right?
Got it.
And so she literally told me the other day, like, you know, those plants that you have in your room, it's evil because you're negative energy, because you don't go to church and you don't do this, you don't do that, and you need to go to church. You have so much sin in your life and this and that. And I'm like, you know, as a mom, like, especially someone that's 40 now, right? Why would you even tell someone that?
Yeah.
That has like a business, that has like, you know, is making ends meet, that's taking care of you, that's helping you financially, that's helping you out with all this other shit. Like, so as a kid growing up, I had to learn how to do a lot of things, right? And so I think that's what made me the person I am today with like handyman work. I grew up learning how to do plumbing because this guy used to live with us. He was a guy that wanted to marry my mom, and he was a family friend that just needed help. So my mom took care of him, right? And so he taught me a lot about, he was like actually the father figure as well, like a second father. And he taught me a lot about everything. So I learned a lot about tools. I learned a lot about at that time, right? And so when I get to this point in my life, I'm doing all this shit for my mom. So my mom doesn't have to pay for anything because financially she's just living based on whatever her retirement was from that warehouse. So like there's always high stress in my house, right? So I never want to be that person that's like, no, mom, like you don't need to pay for it, I'll just take care of it. So I learned shit, right? So I learned shit to make sure she can be happy and not waste money paying some plumber thousands of dollars. Well, I could just do it myself.
Yeah.
And so you know, just dealing with that type of energy as a kid, and then even till this day, you know, Audie's like, you can't like do that kind of shit anymore. Like if she wants to pay someone to do it, then she's going to pay for someone to do it, right? But I feel guilty for that.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
you know,
I feel you on that, dude.
Shit,
it's hard, especially for the parents. It's hard to step away.
You're a parent, you know.
Yeah, but sometimes it's just like, yo, you gotta figure this shit out. Your damn self.
I know, and I wish my mom would have known that. My mom's not like, it's funny because so when as I got older, of course, I started to learn more about this whole spiritual shit, right? And I started to like really dig into the inner work, and I did therapy. So this is, you know, 2018. But it's funny how like my brother, sister, and my mom, they're all the same energy, right? They kind of play this victim,
yeah,
way too much. And I know my brother's trying to better himself. My sister's trying to better, but my mom's at that age where she's 70 and she's like, she's accepted like if she dies tomorrow that she's happy where she's at, right? She's at that stage. But it is kind of funny. Like I try to disassociate myself from like, and I hate to say that, but disassociate myself from my sister and my brother when it comes to certain things, because they will never understand the shit that I went through, but also they will never understand like the concept of what you believe in and what you visualize and what you really put out there can come back to you because you did the work to get it, right? They will never see that. So they'll always be like, oh, I'm dealing with this because of that. You know, it's because of this. But then they tell my mom this shit. My mom will say, because you don't pray, right? You don't sin. So then they start to embed in that energy, right? So then they feel forced to do a lot of things. But it is kind of funny how I just kind of like slowly start pushing myself away from that type of thing, because like being at home and being surrounded by that type of energy can definitely like drain you.
For sure.
And that's why like my inner circle of people always gets smaller and smaller. Like there's only, like you said, like a handful of people that you can actually like lean on, right?
Yeah.
Because everyone else is like, oh yeah, for sure, like I'll be there for you, but then we need them, they're like, oh, I can't, right?
Yeah.
So like I realized like it's all bullshit. Like people out of high school, right, and going to college, oh yeah, we'll definitely keep in touch, and that it doesn't work out that way. You know what I mean? Like I grew up with a bunch of guys. One guy passed away a few years ago for medical reasons, but yeah, you know, I had the same friends from literally like grade school till like now.
Oh wow.
Yeah, like my best friend lives in China. He came out. We actually did a podcast, which I need to upload it. But you know, I'm coaching him right now too, and it's funny seeing that our relationship is still the same. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like we can like literally still talk, and like if we left off at some point, you know, we can still talk about it, and it just feels like normal. It doesn't feel like I'm like trying to force anything out of him. You know what I mean? So yeah, bro, like my inner circle is what it is. You know what I mean? And I'm very thankful for that. And I don't know, man, like my childhood wasn't the best, right? It was good enough. My mom did her best, you know what I mean? But I think that's what strives me to be a better person,
yeah,
right? Because I don't ever want to have that situation where I have kids and I'm like fucking struggling or having all my own trauma and stress and be like, fuck, man, like now my kids have to deal with this kind of shit because I can't deal with it. Yeah. You know what I mean?
I feel you.
You know, but
yeah, so what happened around 2018 that just made everything come to a head?
So okay, so from 2015 till it literally was like I think September, around September of 2018. So I was flying and traveling for work, right? I was doing that shit, and then I did a 50-mile race. I was up in Big Bear, did a 50-mile race. I got back literally 8 hours later. When I got back from Big Bear, I had to fly out to New York for a week. It was like New York's Fashion Week, so the whole company wanted us there so we can look at stuff and whatever, right? So I fly out there, everyone's like, oh shit, man, you're a badass, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, dude. But the whole time I was like anxiety induced, but I didn't even know I was dealing with anxiety. And so I was walking around New York City, and they always say like, usually when you have anxiety, like usually your gut is always having issues. Like you either have like bowel issues or you're peeing a lot, right?
Interesting.
So they say you carry a lot of that energy down below in your gut. So when people have anxiety, sometimes they tend to be like, I got to go up and pee, or I need water, or I need this, right? And so at that time in New York, this was like probably like late August at that time, right? So I traveled for a week, New York, and I told Audie, I was like, fuck, I don't feel right. I'm on the plane and my legs like shaking like this the whole time. I'm like, fuck, I just want to get off this plane. I don't want to be here for 6 hours, right? Get off the fucking airport, and then I start feeling a little heavy. And then we're doing our thing in New York. I come back end of the week, and then so like my schedule was, I already booked all my flights, all my shit like a month in advance. So I already knew like I'm going to be in these places, right? So I get back from New York, I take like a day or two off, and then I'm feeling okay. And then I'm like, okay, just got to travel to Carlsbad and Palm Springs. So I go out there for a fucking week, right? And then it was like nonstop. I get my race, go to New York, come back off the plane, rest for a day, leave for another 4 days, right, to Palm Springs and Carlsbad. And I come back that weekend, and I was already thinking, fuck, I got to fly out to like Houston and Texas, Houston, and then like Chicago, and then Seattle, right? So I'm doing this fucking whole triangle shit, every fucking state in like 3 days. And then I was like looking on my phone, and my bro was like looking at my phone, and I was like, fuck, I need another job. I don't want to do this shit anymore. Because Audie, one of the last things she said to me, like I said earlier, was like, I miss you too much. I don't want you to be gone anymore. And then so when I was processing that from going to New York and then even coming home. So I was like, fuck, I think I need to find another job, because the money was great, but it's not good enough to be like putting my health in this crazy whole spiel. Yeah. So I'll get into like the health aspect of that. And so I'm looking at my phone, and all of a sudden I start to feel like the shakiness and anxiety and the shallow breathing, right? And I'm sitting there like, what am I freaking out about? Because I started thinking about money, because then money trigger for my mom, all this shit, right? So I'm sitting there like, fuck, man, this is fucking insane. And I'm feeling this way right now. And then I start to shake, and I'm like fucking shaking like this. And I'm like, fuck. Audie's like, you're all right. And then I start pacing. She knows when something's going on when I start pacing. So I'm pacing the living room back and forth, back and forth. And then she's like, what's going on? I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, I can't breathe, blah, 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 right? And so that's when I called my life coach that we paid for. We paid a stupid amount of money for this person, right? And she's like, so I want you to go to the ER, get a doctor's note, tell him like the situation, right? So then I go there, this Asian dude's there. He's my nurse. And he's like, hey, do you ever like meditate? You ever do this kind of shit? And I was like, nah, dude. Like, yes, I do, but I haven't done it in a long time. And he's like, yeah. And he's like talking about his culture and how they really believe in meditation. I think he was like Japanese. It really does like help slow everything down. So he was giving me some pointers on how to breathe and meditate. And then I was like, okay, cool, thanks. I'll start practicing that. And so that itself triggered me not to leave my house, because so what happened was when I called my life coach, her name was Susan, she was all like, okay, so you're going to get XYZ. And I did that. So what happened for me was my brain processed it as, okay, if I'm having any type of issues breathing or like anxiety, I need to go to the hospital. So anytime we went somewhere, I would always have a map in my head of like, okay, the hospital's 3 miles away from here. Okay.
Oh shit.
So I became like dependent on the hospital, right? So what in reality what happened was I put Susan over God, right? I treated her like she can heal me through my issues instead of God, right? Depending on like the spiritual aspect of that, I depended on a human being. And so that triggered everything. So then 2018 was the year that she caused issues between our marriage and almost caused a divorce because of what she was saying to each of us. So literally she would trigger both of us by saying, this person does this person does this. And then what it was is we come together and we hash it out with her so she can fix it, because she had her own inner trauma issues. And so she pretty much, long story short, she brought us, she treated me like I was her son, because her son, it was exactly just like me. And her son lived in New York. And so she pretty much said, I'm going to like treat you like this. So she caused a lot of fucking issues between Audie and I, which almost caused us to get like divorced at some stage. We were literally like on the rocks of like, I don't think this is going to work out. And then we realized that she was causing issues. And she said something to me late 2018, like it was like the first weekend of December. She said, this is when the fires are happening too, I think. And so she said, I think your wife is a little woo-woo. I think she's like what she believes in now and what she's going through. It's too far out there. And I think like you guys are going to be so far away. Like, I don't think this is going to be good for you. And then I said, okay. And I just said just like that. And ever since then, I at that moment I said, man, I don't trust this lady. So I talked to Audie. I told her the whole thing. She's like, dude, this fucking bitch but would say this about you. And then we realized we realized she was causing issues between both of us.
Oh wow.
And so that 2018 literally, like, it was kind of funny because they talk about, so I went to this guy and he's actually like kind of like my spiritual mentor, and he was like doing some stuff, rebalancing my chakras and all this stuff. And he looked at me, he said, bro, like there's some shit going on within you, that there's energy that's like attached to you, right? And he's like, there's this one person, and I didn't say anything. And he's like, there's this one person that's like holding on to you, like with a cord, right? They call it cords. And he's like, we need to cut that cord between you and this person. And he's like, I'm going to do it for you spiritually. And I said, okay. So he does his cord cutting from this person. And we end up moving with my mom, because my sister was in Utah for 6 months. My mom's by herself. She didn't feel safe. There was like a lot of houses getting robbed. So I told my mom, I said, hey mom, I'm gonna move in with you, but you have to like be okay with me getting a dog. Like, you gotta be happy with me the way I look, because I stay covered for my mom, because my mom thinks tattoos are the devil. So I literally wore long sleeves all the time and pants, even if it was like 100-degree weather. I would never show my tattoos to my mom because I want to be that son. So when I moved in with her, okay, fine, whatever, you know what I mean? And we had this whole argument leading into that. But so we're moving in, and then I'm putting shit in the U-Haul, right? So we're moving out of our studio, and I'm sitting in the U-Haul. I'm like, fuck, I don't feel good, right? I'm sitting there like holding my stomach. It was like the worst thing. Like I couldn't even breathe. Like I was laying in like in a fetal position. I was like, what the fuck's going on right now? And I said, I don't know. I just can't breathe right now. Like something just feels like something stabbed me in the stomach. And then I later found out that whatever Nick did in cutting the cord spiritually ended up cutting the cord from her. And then
from who?
From my life coach.
Okay.
So she ended up putting, she was batshit crazy where she started putting like, I don't want to say like hexes, but you know, she was putting like some crazy shit on us.
What the fuck?
It was like energy vampires like kind of thing where she was draining us and putting like these little things on us. Yeah. So like,
that's what was happening.
Yeah. So she was causing a lot more issues, but at the same time, I think to myself, I'm actually kind of happy that all this shit happened because she opened a can of worms for me to like look into the inner self of like what I was dealing with as a kid and even till now, right? But yeah, literally like she was like doing some crazy shit to us like spiritually where it was like draining us and causing a lot of issues and causing me to depend on her and you know, maybe some of the people on this podcast listening to this may understand that or maybe not, but like the energy that she had on us was not good. It was like a black cloud.
Oh my God.
And we felt it. Like me and Audie felt something shift. And so when that whole situation happened, it was like 10 to 15 minutes happening. And I'm like laying there on the floor, right? And I'm trying to pack this truck. And all of a sudden, like the pain disappeared within like 10 to 15 minutes. And I was like, whoa, that was kind of weird. You know what I mean? And then we realized that whole thing that he did definitely happened. Then she tried to reach out and try to like email us and talk to us and like text us, and I had a blocker from everything. I deleted her from like Facebook, all my emails, because that energy was like was on me. So we like literally like it was crazy. Like I couldn't even like tell you like how like when people talk about like weight off your shoulder, like this felt like a fucking like the whole planet was like on me. You know what I mean? Like once it like lifted up, you're like, whoa, I feel so much lighter. My face didn't seem as pale. Like everything was like back to normal. You know what I mean? And I think from that moment, it's kind of funny because then that's when I started to really get into spirituality of like not going to church or anything, but just like following Christ. I'm a big believer in Jesus and all that kind of stuff, but also just like following the aspect of there's a bigger picture out there. I had two near death experiences, so I can tell you firsthand like what it's like, and almost feeling like you're in a death in another world. And that literally triggered more. That was like the first trigger at 18 years old. Mm-hmm. And I almost died surfing these big waves. And it happened twice in one day where the leash wrapped around my neck. Yeah. And I couldn't even breathe. I was like, holy shit. And I literally saw like this light, like, I don't know how to explain it, but I like saw this light and I was like, okay, this is it. You know what I mean? I'm like, all right. And I accepted it. I was like, okay, I'm going to die right here. And then I got up. And then I went back out. 30 minutes later, same shit happened again. And so I was like, okay, so God's telling me to get out of the water, right? So from that, and then leading to Emalani, Susan, that pretty much showed me like there's a lot more to life, right? And I started realizing a lot of shit, but then it also caused me to be like I said, like had this whole phobia of like not leaving the house. And I wouldn't leave, like in 2018, like the last of 2018, the fires are happening, right? I wouldn't leave the house. I was having like meltdowns like crazy. 2019 came, and that's when I ran my first marathon, official marathon, right? 2019. And I ran with friends, and the whole time I was there, I was processing, okay, if I need to exit, here's my exit, right? And so here's all the things I could exit towards, right? And that fucking triggered a lot of shit, bro. Like I'm sitting here like, fuck, man, like I have a lot of shit to work on as a kid. And so yeah, it was just it was like insane. Like even now when I think about stuff, I'm like, fuck, I can't believe I was like that. Yeah. I can't believe like I allowed someone to like take my power. We always talk about people taking power, you know what I mean? And things like that, not having a voice. And this lady never let me have a voice. She never let me say the truth of anything. You know, she told me when she was teaching us like this whole spiritual thing of like when you can really tap into people, because like for me, you know, I'm very empathic. I can feel people's energies for sure. And I can see a lot of things. I get these like visions, I call it, right? But I can see like people that have passed on, which is kind of a trip. So like, you know what I mean? It's kind of funny because Audie has the same ability, right? And so I've had this whole like viewpoint of life of like, you know, seeing stuff and feeling stuff and telling people shit. You know, like I've done it plenty of times where like I've met someone at the gym randomly and we start talking and I'm like, hey man, like there's a person that's like XYZ behind you. And they're like saying XYZ. And they're like, oh, you know what I mean? Like, I'll give you an example. Like one day I just met this lady. Her son, his name is Brandon too, actually. So we're talking and then I was like, are you all right? Just like blah, blah, blah. Starts talking to her. And I said, and then she was kind of saying something spiritual, right? Something kind of like something small. And I said, oh, well, there's this person behind you that has like blonde hair, like blah, blah, blah. I always remember this stuff. And she was like, oh, I said, it's this older lady, blah, blah, blah. And she's like saying something. And I tell her what she's saying. And then she's all like, oh shit, that's my mom. And she starts crying in front of me. And I was like, oh shit, I'm so sorry. I don't mean to do this. It just, something came to me and I had to tell you something, right? So I gave her a hug and then her name is Pam. We became like super close ever since then, right? And so she'll text me randomly here and there because I don't go to the gym. I don't work there anymore. But she'll text me just to see how I'm doing, right? And then, but shit like that happens to me all the time, bro. Like I can tell you left and right. Sometimes I just have to close it off when I'm in like places because you can feel it. And when energy is high, like, you know, like you go to Disneyland and everyone's emotion and everyone's all over the place. You can be like, fuck man, I want to stay away from this person. They don't look like, you know, they don't look like they're going through something good. And so you start to like figure that out. And I think like 2018 taught me that 2018 was a year of growth and it taught me about my abilities of what I can do. That's why I don't really talk about it with people because people could judge you based on that stuff. You know what I mean? And then they may not be open to that kind of stuff, you know?
So talk about this lady that you saw, the lady behind. Like, what do you actually see?
So ironically, I see, so they always say like spirits always show up, like what they like to look like. One of the times that they felt the best, they'll show up like that.
Got
right?
it.
So she showed up as like a younger mom, just like the way she was dressed, the way she was, her hair was done right. And so it's funny because sometimes I don't physically like see them like right behind you. It's like if I close my eyes for a second, I see like a vision of like what they were. And then I can hear something. And so that's what tends to happen. And it's not even just with her. It's even just like, even my last job of working at that retail job I had, you know, traveling and all that kind of shit. Like my boss at that time, she picked me up from New York and she was going through some shit. And then we were driving by this one place, right? We're somewhere in New Jersey going to like some place. And I look over, I'm like, oh, this house reminds me of a place that you grew up at. And then she's like, what the fuck are you talking about? And I said, yeah, I think you had short hair and you had like overalls on, you're eating ice cream. And she's all like, what the fuck? Like, just like that, what the fuck? And I said, yeah, I remember you used to like, it seems like there's a lady here that used to like take you on a swing back here and like all this kind of shit, right? And she was like, dude, what the fuck? How do you know this shit? And I said, I don't know, I just felt it from you, right? And she was all like, I'm like, you had a bob, you had short hair, you had ice cream, vanilla, this is the cone. Your grandma used to play with you and it was in front of a lake. And she's like, oh my gosh, I used to be in the lake. I used to live, like we used to have a grandma's house, used to have like a lake, like a house in front of a lake in New York or whatever it was. And I said, oh yeah, like I see it. And then ever since then, our relationship changed as like a boss kind of person, right? And so she was more open and she wanted me to like do more stuff with her. But honestly, bro, like I can't even like explain it. Like sometimes it just comes to me. You know what I mean? Like as weird as it sounds, I think when you're like tapped in to that kind of stuff and that type of energy. Like they always say this, right, in books, you have the ability to heal yourself, right? There's a lady, her name was Louise Hay. She healed herself from like cancer twice based on affirmations that she said. So she wrote this whole book saying that the energies that we carry can disappear, and the sicknesses that we carry can disappear based on where it's at energy wise, right? Knowing what that means. So she wrote this whole book with affirmations. So like, say for example, you're like, okay, my knee hurts right now. What am I going through? She wrote this whole thing that says, okay, knee means ego, proud, and stubbornness, right? And then you're like reading it and you're like, my left knee means this, right? And then you read the affirmation next to it, right? And you can say that more often than anything. But then you start processing, okay, what am I going through, right? What am I dealing with right now in my life that can help me release this shit, right? And then all of a sudden you just figure that out and you release it. And I think that's where like the inner work comes from. And honestly, it's like that's why a lot of like Chinese and like a lot of Asian cultures, they really believe in like really balancing and realignment. And like that's why monks can sit there for fucking 24 hours and just fucking meditate, because they're in alignment, because what they believe is, you know, they're going to reach enlightenment when they figure out everything within themselves. So, you know, sometimes you know, it just happens, and shit happens like that, and I just figure it out and I just roll with it. And, you know, as you get to know me more on a personal level, you start to realize, like, you know, I mean, like there's a genuine side about it. It's not like one of those like woo-woo spiritual people that sit here and preach about it and be like, this is what you got to do. It's just, you know, my brother-in-law, he was one of the first people that actually came out, and he actually said some shit, because he gets the same things that I do, but I didn't even know this is the time I didn't even know this existed, right? I was like going to church every Sunday kind of thing. And then when he drinks, it comes onto him, right? So he was drinking one day and he started spewing all this shit, and then he was like, what the fuck? Like, you know what I mean? Then he started to become more of a believer about it, right? But he was talking to Audie about this kind of stuff, and he was like, you know, asking all that stuff, because Audie has like the same type of gift too. And we started talking more about that even more. And then it realized that a lot of us have these gifts. We just have to be open to heal ourselves through that, right? And so I've had the ability to actually help out a lot of people through this spiritual practice. We don't promote it because we don't want to associate like the Run Club within that itself, but we did go to school for Reiki. We went to school for like all this energy shit. We just don't really talk about it. And so I think when you're tapped into like knowing that like you can heal yourself through like affirmations, through energy work, through you know what I mean, just through whatever it may be you believe in, then yeah, you could definitely heal yourself from a lot of things. And I think a lot of people don't understand that. Like it's funny because Audie's dad had prostate cancer, right? And we looked up the meaning behind cancer, and I said, oh shit. And then when we were talking to him, everything that we read about cancer, what the meaning is something that he was dealing with as a kid from trauma of his brother dying. You know what I mean? And he hasn't let go of that, right? And so we're like, holy shit, right? So then we started looking at it from that standpoint, and then I said, okay, there is a big meaning behind this. And I've dealt with stuff with energy in places in my body, and then I release it by just saying shit and then letting go of shit in life, and all of a sudden the pain's gone. And you're like, whoa, like, so it is true. Because they talk about that energy is going to store in your body until you figure out that. When people say, oh, my back hurts, there's a reason why your back hurts, right? And so
how do you know the different reasons? Sorry to cut you off.
No,
the
dude.
different reasons from like, oh shit, my left elbow. Like that means.
So a lot of it, so from what I learned, so left side, right side, completely different energies, right?
Okay.
Left side's past, right side's future. So when you start thinking about, okay, I got issues on my left side, so I had a left quad strain, right? I started thinking about a lot of stuff when this happened, and then I took it as, okay, I'm dealing with some shit in the past I need to like let go of and release. I had this before I ran the double. I went to my dietitian, and she's very holistic. She goes down that, but she's actually becoming an MD, but a holistic MD. And so she's doing her time at these hospitals and all that kind of stuff, right? And so she told me, hey, I got a quad train. She's like, what side was it on? And I said, left side, because I haven't talked to her almost a year. So she's like, okay. So she texts me back, gives me a whole fucking spiel, right? And I said, fuck. Okay. And I didn't know what to, and I said, okay, we're going to talk about this on Thursday, because I made an appointment with her, right? So I saw her on Thursday, and she starts talking to me, and she's all like, hey, okay. So we sit there, we do this foot bath to help get rid of toxins and inflammation, all this shit in the body. So I'm like, all right. And then she's like, okay, so what are you dealing with? This is what it is. And then we start talking. I start crying a little bit. I'm like, holy shit. And then it had to do with like rejection, right? And the rejection, not just from like childhood stuff, but just the idea of it and things like that. And then all of a sudden, no issues with my quad, like at the race. Cause I mean, like, me, I was like, dude, I was like, when we were running, I'm like, okay, I could run like 4 miles and be like, okay, my quad feels good, right? So I didn't even know if it was going to hold up even when I was running with Lisa on her marathon. And I said, okay, so I ran 24 miles with Lisa, I'm going to be okay. And then when I saw Noah, I was like, fuck, I got to run like 2 of those pretty much, right? Am I going to be okay? She did her whole thing. I thought about it. I processed it. I let go of some shit, and then I was perfectly fine. No, and the quad hasn't been achy. I mean, yes, it's achy in that sense because I ran, but not like achy where I'm like, fuck, man, like this hurts like how it used to hurt. You know what I mean? And so she was saying all this stuff, and I said, fuck, man, like this is so insane. Like, and sometimes my mind just kind of like opens up, and I'm like, fuck, like how is this like, how does like no one believe in this kind of stuff? You know what I mean? They don't really talk about this in other aspects, but like in the Bible, it does talk about like you have the power within to like heal yourself from a lot of shit, right? Like that was the whole teachings of like Jesus was that, right? And maybe some Christians listening to this or whatever may not agree with that, but like, like the whole religion aspect is completely different than what he was teaching. It was just teaching you how to be, how to have God within you, right? And a lot of us don't really understand that concept of what does that mean to them, right? So they go to a building and pray, but like I've realized over time that you can not be in a building, right, and praise God, right? You don't have to do it on a 1 day a week to praise God.
Yeah.
You can do it every day.
Yeah.
Right. And I think a lot of us don't think of it as that, that's where the gratitude and appreciation comes from. And I think in 2018, I didn't understand that concept of what is gratitude and what is appreciation. You know what I mean? I think I understood that more during COVID, and I understood that more even maybe 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago in 2022. And I started to like go through more shit. And then I realized, okay, there's a lot of stuff that I need to like work on myself. Right. And so, as we grow and get older, I start to think about like, okay, like if I have a family right now, maybe this is why I don't have a family right now, because I need to heal my own shit. Like, as I couldn't even imagine people that, like my sister, for example, she's a great mom, but she has so much shit, right? And that sometimes could sponge onto those kids.
For sure.
And I really wouldn't want those kids to grow up thinking like, because my brother's kids already have that mindset. Like their mom says, oh, you can't afford that. We're poor, right? We're broke. You got to put that back. Like, because she grew up, she's from Mexico, right? But when she came out here, I mean, they were living in an apartment with like 10 people, you know what I mean? Like a 1-bedroom kind of thing. And so I think that mindset sponging on to those kids and hearing those kids. And I even told my brother, like when we took my niece out to Disneyland when she was like 7, I think maybe, we surprised her. We got her out of school and she came over to our studio and we gave her Mickey ears and she's like, we're going to Disneyland? I was like, yeah, we're fucking going to Disneyland, girl. Let's go. And this is early morning, right? And it made me feel so special. And then I do that with my brother's kids. And my brother was like, no, we don't want you to take the kids because we don't really know if we trust you, like watching the kids, right? Kind of thing. And I was like, okay. Like,
oh, wow.
So there's that aspect. That's why my relationship with my family is much different, right? Because they never trusted us with like that kind of stuff, right? But then as I get older, I realized God's just making me learn and grow and develop this relationship that I need first before I move forward with the family. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like me and Audrey are talking about more about kids. And so I think that may happen soon enough. But like, at some stage, it is a funny thing when you look back at some shit.
Yeah,
bro. I mean, like, my life was crazy, thinking about it. You know what I mean? Like, may not be as crazy, That's why I get so upset when people start talking about some crazy shit nowadays. You know, there's so much chaos in this fucking world, and me and you talk about this kind of shit, but people start saying some shit. I'm like, fuck, man, you guys need to like really wake up and see the bigger picture with all of this shit. You know what I mean? Like don't blame the people, blame yourself.
Yeah.
You know, when it comes down to it, like blame yourself for the fact that you didn't do enough, right? Or whatever it may be. But, and I hate to say it, but that's just the way it is, because that's what I've learned. And the only person I have to blame is myself for not wanting to like hit those things, right?
Yeah.
And so it is kind of funny, like just all that shit, man, dude. I'm telling you, man, this world's in chaos, and I think people are so focused on the identity of politics as in themselves, like you're Mexican American, right? But you don't take that in the context of like, this is who I am as a person. Like, nah, dude, like you're fucking Frank. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, for sure. I really don't even be paying attention to much that's going on. I did before, and it just like made me upset.
100%.
And I just don't anymore. I don't really identify with like, you know, any sort of politics or anything. Like the biggest thing that I do is like personal excellence. That's 100%. It. That's my focus, and that's what I am. You know, I'm an American, and I'm me. Mm-hmm. And that's what I do. I don't subscribe to like any other group or anything like that, because I don't agree with a lot of the shit that's going on.
100%.
And
that's the hard thing is, you know, it's like you have family and friends that are all on like every spectrum, right? But then it's also like my dietitian said, hey, just fucking mute everyone.
Fuck 'em, bro.
You know? Yeah. Literally, that's how she said it in a polite way, where she was like,
want some more, bro?
Yeah, man. Let's get the salt.
Fuck them all, bro. That's it. There you go. I'm gonna bring a new freshie.
Oh man,
a fresh bottle. It says don't do it more than a few times a day. I do it.
I wonder what's in it that makes you not kind of do it. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
ooh, there we go.
Like, what's in it that makes you be like, you can't smell salt like three times?
It's like ammonia.
It's like, as he like fucking Frank passes out right here.
I'm crying.
I'm sorry, Ashley. I'm gonna fuck. I know.
But yeah, nah, bro. It's just like the way that I see it is like, I'm not trying to be in anybody's group.
100%.
I want my group to be as small as possible, and we just do our own thing.
Yep.
And like anybody that gravitates towards us or that we like align with, then that's it. That's our group. But I'm not like just like default in some sort of like group. You know what I mean? Nah, I'm not with that. Like even like as far as to where we're from, where I was born. Yeah. In Oxnard.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not Oxnard till I die. I'm not one of those dudes, you know?
Yeah.
I can't I'm not. I have my own values. I have my own way of looking at the world.
Yeah.
And it doesn't align with a lot of people and the way that a lot of people think, which is cool. Like just the most thing that I ask is just don't tell me what to do.
Yeah.
And I'm chilling, bro.
Yeah.
We're good at that.
It's very interesting because I was texting Audie yesterday, and a lot of these I went to a concert last night, and you know, a lot of these bands were saying all this like shit that's going on, you know what I mean, like they were preaching about it, and I said, why did they have to bring that into to the scene? Because we're in Oxnard, right? So they're saying all this stuff, and then people in Oxnard you know, are like, yeah, fuck yeah, that's
like a punk scene or a punk,
yeah. You know, punk hardcore. So they're just like saying that, you know, a lot of these the Mexicans and at the concert last night, they were speaking in Spanish and saying all this shit in Spanish. I can't understand anything they're saying.
Yeah, for sure.
And I said, man, why the fuck did they have to bring that? Like, it just totally brought the vibe down for me personally, because I'm just like, I think when you're in places like that, you shouldn't be preaching about kind of shit like the shit that's going on. You should just really be like, let's all get together, let's stay positive, let's just like back each other up, right? And there was one part of the message that was like that, but then they said other stuff in the beginning, and not everyone may agree with you, you know, on that stance, but like when you start to bring in like other aspects to that type of meaning, like it turns you away from like wanting to ever associate with yourself.
For sure.
I never like to associate myself with anything unless like someone really asks me stuff, but like, you know, I'm more of like the conspiracy theorist kind of thing, go down the rabbit hole and talk to my friends about that shit, right? And my friends are like, oh, here he goes again. But like, to me, that's what I view as like fun and exciting and like digging into that shit, regardless if it's true or not. But you know what I mean? Yeah, I just try my best unless someone, you know, makes a comment and says something to me, because a lot of people will just look at me, to be honest with you, and already make like I've always been, like if I go to the airport, they always pull me over. They always check underneath my car, because at that time, I mean, I look like Taliban. That's what people said. That's what one guy told me. I look a little Talibanish. Shaved head, big beard at that time. Yeah. And it wasn't a crazy beard. It was just like a longer beard. And then so my sister noticed it, right? And so she'd be like, they'd be looking under the car with a mirror, right? They'd be checking my trunk. They'd be checking my suitcases. Happens all the time. Even if I dressed up in a suit, going to work, flying out somewhere, they still do it, right? And so Audie got annoyed by it, my sister. But I at that stage, I'm like, what is me getting upset gonna do?
For sure.
Like, I got to that stage where I was like, whatever, just let them do their thing. Like, I don't really care. You know what I mean? Like, I don't need to like make a big deal about it. I don't need to be on Channel 5 News and make a whole spiel about it. But like, you know, the biggest thing I can do for myself is to not allow things like that affect who I am as a person. Because if you're a good person and you're doing good deeds and helping people out, especially people that you love, and supporting people, I think that's going to be the biggest win for you, regardless of someone tries to pull you over for some drug shit, even though, like, you know, you don't have drugs. Like, there's no point in getting upset about that kind of shit.
Yeah.
And so to me, it's just, you know, the past. How much of that am I going to carry into the future? And I think that's like the whole Tony Robbins thing is, when we are looking at like fears and looking at things like that, a lot of us are carrying shit from the past into this future, into this present moment. And that shit just weighs you down, bro.
For sure.
And it's like, how much of that am I going to have to keep like dragging just to like get to like my spot? Like, for you to be successful, right, you have to let go of the shit that's weighing you down. Even if that means, you know, letting go of your best friend that's been with the business forever, right? Like, you have to like let go of people, and you have to let go of things that are no longer serving you. And I've learned that through like energy spiritual classes of like, when you release that kind of shit, you release a lot of things, and then you're going to feel and see life completely different from that standpoint, you know? And I think that's why some people hate Goggins, some people love him, right? They hate the fact that he's truthful, and he speaks the truth about his life and what he's gone through, and he speaks the truth about getting where you need to be at and stop being a lazy piece of shit. But then people get offended by that because, you know, they're that person that he said.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So like, you're going to take it as like, I don't like this guy because he's right.
Attack, yeah.
You know, but it's true though.
For
like,
sure.
It's always going to have a message behind it. But,
for sure.
And that's the whole thing is like, when I talk to people and I coach people and I leave them notes, and Ashley will probably tell you the notes I leave, but like, you know, like, I always try to leave notes that are like very uplifting and positive. So you look at it and be like, fuck, okay, I'm ready to attack the weak. You know what I mean? I'm ready to fucking do shit. I never want to be that person that's like, oh yeah, he was like cool, but then sometimes he just got so angry and he's always upset about some shit, and he always talked to me in a way where he belittled me. Like, I never want to be that person. Like, I've gone through so much my whole life, learning about myself, and then I'd rather not be that person anymore. Like, I want to uplift and support and know that I'm worthy of a lot of shit in my life. You know what I mean? Yeah. Just like you. I mean, like, it's always going to be a grind. And at some stage, you're going to finally be at that spot where you're like, everything I did, everything, you know, I'm doing now, it all came to this moment. You know what I mean?
Yeah, one day at a time, bro. I love it, dude. You know, I love getting home and thinking about the day and what I did, what I could have done better, how I maximized it, and what I'm going to do tomorrow.
Bro, I'm not even kidding you. Like, today, I was like, you training anyone today? I said, nah. Like, I got like my schedule. I got home late from the concert. I slept in, and I got like 7-8 hours sleep. I'm like, fuck yeah, I got some sleep, right? And then I like went to the gym, and then I was like, that's my day. I like literally like, I might go for a run later, do a podcast with you, and then that was it. Like, I didn't have to worry about training anyone today because some people are out of town, and I was like, damn, I actually get a day to like just like decompress for a second.
Hell yeah.
You know what I mean? And
for
I think just even my story being on a podcast, a lot of people don't really know this side of me, so they don't know, like, they just see me as one thing. So it's like, it's kind of cool to like be all over the place and not really have like I honestly like I wing it every time I do a podcast.
Yeah.
Audie hates it. She's like likes to have structure, but I'm like free flow. Like that's what I'm all about, right? And
I love it.
I think when you free flow and you're like ask me a question, like bro, like I'm an open book, man. You can ask me anything and everything, and I'm just gonna be like. At first, I'd be like, no, I don't want to talk about that shit when I was younger. But now I'm like people are gonna listen to this and they may get inspired by it. They may be like, fuck, man, this is totally true. And that's like my whole process of life. You ever think about this kind of stuff? Like, what's your purpose in life? You ever think about that?
Sort of.
Like you never really sat here and be like, okay, what am I doing right now in my life? Like, what's the purpose of this? And it's funny because I used to do that a lot. Like, what's my purpose in my life right now? And my business mentor, the guy who does our podcast, he's all like, your purpose right now is just to be here and serve people and help people in so many ways, right? So when I looked at it from that standpoint, I said, okay, so your purpose is making these parts for these cars to make these cars look beautiful, and that brings you happiness and whatnot, you know what I mean? And so when I started looking at things like that, I'm like, okay, so my purpose today is really just to be here and making sure like this is working for XYZ, right? And so I used to be thinking like the bigger picture, right? What's my bigger purpose in life, right? But I don't know if we really have like this big purpose in life. You know what I mean? I think it's good to look at it from a standpoint like that, but I also believe like your purpose right now at this moment is to have Downstar, right? And to make these parts, but like 10 years from now, it could be completely different. You may be getting out of that, and all of a sudden you're like, doing something bigger and better where it's like, do you know what? I want to start a homeless thing, right? Or like a nonprofit or maybe this. And so I think when I look at it from that side, but I was thinking about this on my drive home from San Francisco, bro. I was like, man, I wonder how long this run club is going to last. You know what I mean? Like not in a negative way, but I was like, I wonder like how it's going to be in the next 10 years, if it's still going to be what it is, or if maybe it was just me like future thinking and not thinking about being in the present moment. But, I started thinking about that kind of stuff, and I'm like, cause I'm a business kind of guy, and I'm like, I wonder what this is going to be. But then I pulled myself back and I said, well, my purpose right now is just to be there. Be present, and then just each week just keep doing what I'm doing and see what happens, because 15 years from now it may not be that, and I may be some crazy multimillionaire that is traveling the world helping people out in certain aspects, right? But yeah, it's weird. I've been thinking about that lately, maybe because I just turned 40 and I'm like because I'm already past that midlife crisis, right? Most males die at like 75 or something like that, right?
But if you think about it, right? So you really didn't have any control of your life until your 20s. Yeah. Right?
Maybe 30s.
Right.
Yeah.
So now, that's only 10 years. Right? For me, like, I feel like my life started early 20s. Mm-hmm. Right? Because everything else before it wasn't really under my control. Like 0 to 10, that's a wash. That was no control. 10 to 17, I'm going to school, so I have no control. 18, I'm finally getting free, but like, it's not until you're 20. So it's not 40 and 40. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's really like 10, 15 to 40. So all of that is figuring out all the bullshit in life, figuring out who you are, what you want to be, figuring out all the things that you have to figure out. What are friends, what are relationships, what is love, what is hate, what is sustaining yourself, what is having a work. Okay, now you're 40. Bro, this is a fucking clean slate right here. I know. This is a new opportunity that you can do whatever you want in life.
But do you feel like, okay, so when people say like New Year's resolution, right? It's a new year, I can do this, but like, why does it have to be a New Year's resolution to get there, right? So like, why can't it just be like tomorrow?
I don't even think time exists. It doesn't even exist. It's only something for us to keep to keep control of like the days and stuff. It's like you're born and then you die.
Yeah.
And it's just one long timeline. You know, so I'll meet people that are 40 and I'm like, damn, you look like shit. I don't feel like that, you know, because we've the last 40 years, they've done different things, experienced different things than I've experienced.
Drugs, man.
What? Yeah, or what have you, whatever the hell it is. But I don't even feel old, bro, at all.
I feel the same way. Like, people are like, why do you look so young and feel so young? And I'm like, well, like I changed a lot of my habits, and I also blame the Asian side of me, but I also believe like when you act a certain way and become a certain way, then you're going to feel that way. Right. And so I think when, like I told Audie, for example, when she used to come home, she's like, I'm so tired. And I'm like, you gotta stop saying that, because then your body's just gonna be like, I'm so tired.
It's tired time.
And it's tired time. So, and then my other friend, this other person I was talking to was like, oh yeah, like, you know, he's like, you build this habit, right? Each and every day. It takes 21 days to build a habit, and it takes longer to even maintain that habit. And he's all like, you know, I was talking to him about these habits because he grew up in this monk household. And so he grew up in this whole spiel of things, right? And so he was talking, gave him advice, and he's like, oh, it's great advice, man. I love it. And so he said, you know, sometimes when you have a habit, like I used to come home from work and I used to go in my room because I didn't have an office at that time. The other room was like the bedroom, kind of junk room. And so I go and work, and I work on my iPad and my mouse on the pillow, right? So I'm watching fucking Netflix right in front of me. I'm doing this shit, just like programming people and doing that. And then I get sleepy. I'd be like knocking out, and I'm fucking trying to do some shit. And then when he mentioned that, I said, oh shit, that's totally true. Like, as I got into that stage where my body knows, okay, you go to the bedroom, that's sleep time, or that's nap time, then you kind of get in that stage. So now that I'm in an office, and I built my own desk and did all the stuff in the second room, after Tony Robbins, I said, this room needs to change energy-wise. So I did all that stuff, built some shelves and whatnot, made it into a space where I can't fall asleep, or I'm more creative, or I have this whole thing like how you have all these pictures all over the place here. Yeah. You know, you have all these things that inspire you. That's how it was for me in my room. And it really does make a difference. And it's so crazy, like, just thinking about that kind of shit. You know what I mean?
For sure. Man, I love it in here, bro. I love it in here so much.
This is like the emo days, man. We got Newfound Glory. We got fucking The Used.
Everything here represents who I am.
Yeah.
Everything, bro.
So that means you're a Star Wars fan, huh?
Yeah, I'm a Star Wars fan.
Is Ashley?
No. She's not.
It's so funny.
Spawn, you know, Seinfeld. Of course.
Where's Spawn at?
Spawn, the back one's right there.
Oh shit, Spawn.
Malvolgia.
Oh my gosh, I used to love Spawn. That thing scared me as a kid.
Yeah, look at Violator.
Oh yeah,
up there, the old Violator and the Violator right there.
Bro, I didn't even see that camera right there.
Yeah, yeah.
That's like an Airbnb camera hidden somewhere.
But everything, bro, like that. That was my first. That was my first CD ever. Wu-Tang. Yeah. From 6th grade to graduation, I had a Wu-Tang necklace.
Oh my gosh.
Even in my yearbooks and everything, Wu-Tang. Dude, the Used, I have 3 Used tattoos. I've seen them 10 plus times.
So good. Every time they play, they're so good. It's like ridiculous. I think I've seen like 2 or 3 times, and I saw them at Warped Tour, the last Warped Tour in 2018.
Yeah.
And I said, holy shit. And do you know what's actually crazy about that? Before I had the whole breakdown, because I think at that time it was like summertime, right?
Yeah.
Everyone was this actually triggered a lot of shit too, but I was feeling very anxious for some reason at Warped Tour, and it was an all-day festival. You're in the fucking heat all day, right? Everyone was smoking. I think I was high. Uh-huh. And so I start freaking out for some reason, and I go to the front. I was like, you're right. I'm like, no, I gotta go to the front. I'm like, I'm breathing kind of shallow right now, and I don't know what's going on right now. And then I sat there, and this guy comes up to me and says, hey man, I think you need this book, but it's going to cost you like a couple bucks. And I said, he said it was like $5-10. I said, bro, I only got like $2 on me. He's like, here you go. And then he's like, okay, here's the book. It was a self-realization book. And I said, oh shit. All right. And it's this whole process of looking at your life and having these realizations of when I started reading it, right? and it's all based on like Eastern style of spirituality, and that triggered everything from 2018. So after that moment is when I started to feel a certain way
at Warped Tour.
Mm-hmm.
That's
and
crazy.
That was literally like as we were waiting, we were literally waiting for I think 3 more bands, and I think one of them was Taking Back Sunday, which they fucking suck live. I hate them live, but they were playing. The Used is playing right after them, and so we were waiting for them. So when the Used came on, it literally just like changed my whole perspective that day, because I was like, "Fuck!" I'm so excited to see the Used, and they fucking threw it down, and I was like, "Fuck!" The Used is so fucking good.
No way, dude.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah, no, it's so weird. I think about that.
I was there with Christian, with my son.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we were in the mosh pit. That's his first mosh pit.
He was young then.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
I did
he
not.
was probably like 11.
Dude, I didn't even do the mosh pits at Warped Tour. They were so fucking big and scary. You had these like big fucking white dudes in there fucking moshing, and I said, nah, dude, this is not my jam. Even though I was in bands and shit like that, and but yeah, music for me, it's kind of funny. Music for me was always like and it's probably for a lot of people, but that was like one thing that brought me so much joy and happiness in my life.
Yeah, bro.
You know what I mean? Like, even though I wasn't really good at instruments, I could play like instruments. I was never like great at one thing. It was like I could pick up and play some chords, but I had friends that are fucking wailers, and they can do some crazy shit. But yeah, music for me, like, you ever listen to a song and you start to get goosebumps? You know, they always say that there's a certain type of frequency that your body hits, and that somehow does something to your body when it comes to music. And when that happens, and I said, fuck, this is so insane. So like, music to me has always been something like, even though I didn't go to the concert with me, my niece went instead. It's just like being there and hearing the drums and hearing the guitar and then seeing the crowd. Like, there's something special about it. You know what I mean? And like you said, like, the Used is probably like your top band. You know what I mean? I grew up, my first concert was actually New Found Glory.
Where was this at?
Santa Anita track.
Oh, really?
So interesting enough, they put a stage on the middle of the grass fields, and so the horses ran around, you know what I mean, the track. And so every time the horse started, they had to stop the music so they can allow people to like.
When was this?
This is probably like 2000, probably like, yeah, maybe like 2000. Literally, I think when New Found Glory came out with that Hit or Miss album, and they performed that album. And I was like, who the fuck is this band? And there was another band they played with that was, I think it could have been like No Use for a Name or something like that. And then there was a UK band called The End, and this guy played with a big cello bass, and he used to stand on it and play. And I was like, what the fuck? People in Europe, you know, the way they do things. And that's what actually started my whole music phase, because like, I grew up with Wu-Tang because my brother and like all that kind of shit. So I grew up with hip hop. I didn't really grow up in like the rock scene, you know what I mean? And then once I got into high school, it was like my best friend that passed away. He's the one who like set the tone of like, we're gonna listen to these bands, right? And so it was all these hardcore punk bands, all these nardcore right bands, and you start thinking about that shit. And you're like, fuck, man. And then now it's funny how it goes full circle, where you kind of get out of that phase, and now you're back into everything, and it brings so much joy and happiness in me. And I mean, I love all this music. I mean, we have the same taste and shit as I look around here. You know what I mean? It's so funny just looking at everything and seeing everything, as it brings back memories.
I love it. That's why I do it, bro. I want people to come in here and then the skate shop, and then just trip out on things. I remember it was probably like 99, 2000. I was in Hot Topic, and that was when
oh my gosh,
New Found Glory, they did the cover album, which was
like, was it that like the pop?
Yes, pop. No, it wasn't that. They did their own.
Oh shit, really?
Yeah.
Dang, I Google that.
Let me actually look that up.
Is that when they did like it
was the
Never
song.
Ending Story?
Yes,
and all
yes,
that
yes.
Shit? Yeah.
That one. Is it called like Nothing Gold Can Stay? I think it was.
Oh yeah.
That might be it. But I heard the song from Titanic.
Oh yeah.
They covered that one, and I heard that in Hot Topic. I'm like, who the hell are these guys? And I looked them up.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, from the screen to your stereo, 1999.
Oh,
so
yeah.
it wasn't Nothing Gold Can Stay. It was right after that.
Yeah.
And then Self-Titled came out in 2000. And then
I remember that.
Sticks and Stones, bro. This is my
Sticks and Stones is such a great album.
Bro, I'll just put that on when I go to sleep sometimes.
Really?
With my hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah.
So
that's my shit, bro.
So are they your favorite band all time then?
I don't know. I don't know if I have a favorite band of all time. If I did, it would be The Used.
Yeah.
Just because it was such a significant part of my life and
you saw them 10 times plus.
At least, bro.
That's probably your favorite band.
Yeah, I've seen them so many times, dude.
So cool.
Yeah, it's just so many different points in my life that were really. That's like all that I had.
Yeah.
Was the music.
Mm-hmm.
You know. That was really the comfort. It was very, very comforting.
Yeah.
It was the music, and then it brought back so many like real feelings of feeling life.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, dude, such good times. You ever heard of Isley?
Mm-mm.
So Isley actually opened up for Newfound Glory one time, and it's just like I had to send it to you, bro. It's like so off the wall. I don't even know if anybody's like ever even listened to Isley, but there's one of their albums. I just listened to it the other night. I just put on my headphones and just lay down, and then yeah, it's so good.
It was like when Rufio came out and that whole like shit. Like it's funny. So like my old district manager at the gym. This like Asian dude, right? Glasses, like kind of like a faux hawk, right? He's like, we started talking, and I got to know him because all these managers are quitting. So he was here. He was from LA. He came out here more often. This is when like Tesla started to get somewhat known, and so everyone's like, "Oh shit, Steven, you have a Tesla?" Like, you know what I mean? So he starts showing up here, and we start talking, and he's like, "Yeah, bro." Something came up with music, and then he's like, "Yeah, bro, I used to be in a band," and I was all like, "Oh, that's cool," and I was like, "You don't look like a guy that was in a band, right?" And he's all like, "Yeah, I get that a lot," you know. I was like, "Dude, you just look like a guy that just like went to school for finance, right?" And he's like, "Nah, dude, before all this shit, smart guy, right? Before all this stuff, he's like, I was in a band. I used to open up for like the Used. I used to open up for Taking Back Sunday. I used to open up for these big bands, like all these big bands." He started naming all these bands, and I was like, and I was like. I throw him back, and I was like, "Wait, what'd you play?" He's like, "Oh, I played guitar," and I was like, "Dude, this is crazy." He's like, "Yeah, bro. Like we used to tour all the time with all these big bands," and I was like, "You look at him, and wouldn't even think that, right?" And he was a guy that was like, I asked him like, "Yeah," he's like, "Yeah, dude. This is when the phase when like people were throwing guitars around themselves and catching it and jumping and doing crazy flips." He's like, "I was one of those dudes." And I looked at him like, "Steven, no, get the fuck out of here. You're into that shit?" He's like, "Yeah, bro. Like I know all these bands." And then I met another guy. So randomly, recently I met another guy. You probably seen him on Instagram. He runs with a helmet. He has like a motorcycle helmet. He runs across America for mental health.
Okay.
He does these big runs. His name is Death Scout. Shout out to him. But I know who he is. And he told me when I got to know him on another level, he was like, "Yeah, dude, I used to play with like all these big bands at Warped Tour." He's like, "Warped Tour is like so special to me." And I was like, "What the fuck, dude? Are you serious?" And he's like, "Yeah, dude, like I open for all these big bands, and sometimes I fill in for them on Warped Tour and all these other concerts." And I said, "Dude, that's fucking insane." I was like, "Dude, that's so weird. Like I've met so many people that have done these things that I would never ever picture them doing."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we had the same taste in music, so we were like be texting each other and be like, "Oh shit, man." And then he put on some old shit on his Instagram of him playing drums to like Yellow Card and all this shit, and I was like, "Oh my fucking god, dude, you're bringing back like the early 2000s for me right now. This is great. I love it, dude."
Yeah,
I love music.
Hell yeah, dude. I remember you like the Killers.
Yeah, the Killers are great. Do you know what's actually even funny is that I just found out recently that the Killers were actually a Christian band.
Oh really?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Yeah, Killers, that was an album, that Hot Fuss, that one.
Oh yeah,
that was one that I would listen to a lot on one of those like 6-disc CD changer, big fucking boombox.
Yeah. Dude,
shelf joints.
We had what was I listening to? I was like Silverstein was that, Newfound Glory, The Rise. The Rise was like huge for us. 2004.
Census Fail.
Oh my God, Census Fail.
Chodos.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Under Oath.
Under Oath was great.
We just saw the Chodos maybe like last month or the month before.
Where'd they play at?
It was their 20-year anniversary.
Oh shit, yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone's doing that shit now.
Yeah, so we saw him. We actually went with my sister and Brian downstairs.
Oh shit.
I was in the pit, dude, and he was just like on the outside. And we got split up, and then I was just looking for him the whole time, and I finally seen him like on the outskirts.
Yeah.
I ran and fucking snatched him. He's big, bro, and he was just like,
he's standing here like,
he was just, what the fuck? I said, let's fucking go, dude. And I seen that fool light up like a fucking kid, dog. He was just like, he's just never been a part of nothing like that.
Your adrenaline gets so high.
I'm like, let's fucking go. Bro, I'll go in the middle of the pit and be like, I don't give a fuck what's going on around me. There's literally 10 feet from me to the person singing, and I'm right there, and I don't fucking care who's in the middle.
Ballsy, man. I can't do that. I can't do that shit anymore.
Oh, man, I love it, bro.
My niece was like, come closer to the pit. I'm like, I'm good. I know what happens in the pit. I used to be a person in the pit, and
I was in that bitch, bro. Oh my god, I love it.
I miss those days.
I'm crazy, bro.
Warped Tour is so expensive.
Yeah, they just had it 2 weekends ago.
Yeah,
I was like, nah, I'm chilling, bro. It's not the same.
It was like $150 for a ticket.
$25.
Dude, you know? I remember I paid like $30 tops. You know what I mean? I remember telling people I'd go to Ticketmaster and have to buy the ticket physically.
Yeah,
you know, everything fucking digitally, you know?
Good
it's like,
times.
Ah, shit, man.
Hell yeah, B. Bro, thank you for coming, man. I appreciate you.
Bro,
it was great to...
2-hour podcast right here.
Oh, this is light work, bro. This is light work.
Yeah, man.
It's good to know you on a different level, bro. I appreciate everything that you do, giving us a space to go run. I love it, bro. Like I said, I've never been in any club or anything like that. It's such a good feeling. I love Wednesdays. Frankie loves it. She just got running shoes.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh,
so she's gonna, the last part of it, she's going to run.
She's going to jog it with you?
Yeah, she's going to jog it, dude. It's so cool, man. I love it. And I appreciate what you do for Ash.
Man.
She's so excited. She's kicking ass, and she's gonna do great, man. I'm excited.
I told Audie, I said we're gonna go out there and support her, and like, because I know Lisa's gonna come out anyway.
Yeah.
And I said we're gonna go out there and support, because at that time I was like, Frank and Christian's running and she's running, the whole family affair. Yeah. We're gonna fucking be at some mile, and we'll have our run free flag, and like we'll do all this shit. But I mean, you have to do it now
for sure. I might do it.
Just sign up.
We'll see.
Pull the trigger.
We'll see. It's about her. I want it to be about her. If she needs me to be there for her, I'll be there. Cause she was there for me last year, or this year. But she's got a goal in mind. She's gonna kick ass, dude, and I'm stoked.
I told her that she's gonna run faster than that goal.
Yeah, for sure. She is. Her biggest problem is that she doubts herself so much.
100%.
And she doubts her watch. And I'm like, bro, the watch is just analytics, so it's telling you what you'll do.
Yeah.
But you don't need to think about it. The watch does all the thinking. So this is what you will do. And like it's just, she'll get there though, and she's getting there. And the more goals that she makes and accomplishes them and smokes them, she's just gonna keep getting better and having that like belief, you know. And I love it.
I mean, her and Lise are gonna be doing the hosting tomorrow. So
that's right.
So she's gonna be out there doing her shit, you know.
Their hostess, dude. They'll handle it. It's gonna be a good
she's
time.
like PTA mom.
So if anybody wants to go, invite them, bro.
Yeah. Literally, Introduce Your Nails Wednesday, 6 p.m. You know what I mean? Come out, and then we do 2-hour runs on the weekend. But honestly, Run Free Running Club on Instagram and Strava. I mean, it's been a pleasure just having people come out, you know what I mean? Because that's the biggest thing, like we talked about earlier, is people showing up for themselves and like really wanting to like meet the community of people. And you come out each and every week now, you know what I mean? First it was once every few weeks, but now it's so cool to see you out there and the family. And you know, I love the fact that people are bringing their kids and their dogs, you know what I mean? It's not just like serious.
Yeah.
You know, you want to go somewhere serious, just do the workout on your own. But if you want to actually just come and hang and chill and eat some some pizza, play some basketball with me, you know what I mean? Let's just fucking do it and have a good time.
Hell yeah. All right.
Fuck
Cool.
yeah,
Yeah.
bro.
Hopefully we see you guys out there one of these days. Wednesday's Institution in Camarillo at 6 p.m. 3 to 6 miles. Just come through. Stop being a pussy.
Man.
You need
there
it.
you go.
Let's do
I
it.
wasn't gonna say that, but
Stop being a fucking fat pussy. Hey, thank you guys. Brandon, thank you so much, bro.
Of course, man. Thanks, man.
Pleasure for the combo, man. I appreciate you. And thank you guys for listening. Once again, this is Downtime with Downstar, and we out. Peace.
Peace.